Hey everyone, welcome back to Philosophical Fall Guy. Here we talk to Hollywood's top stunt performers and go behind the scenes to hear their stories. Then we dive a little deeper to see what drives them and what they ponder about in those moments of quiet between the chaos. Hey everyone, welcome back to Philosophical Fall Guy. Our guest today has an illustrious career that has spanned over 2 decades and he has 174 stunt credits according to IMDb. He is known for Avengers Endgame, Logan, Jurassic World, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. He has been nominated by Screen Actors Guild 9 times for Outstanding Performance by a Stunt Ensemble in a Motion Picture for such blockbuster movies like Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Captain America, Civil War, The Bourne Legacy, and The Matrix Resurrections, to name a few. And he won a SAG Award for the same category in 2020 for Avengers Endgame. It's my privilege to welcome Regis Harrington to the show today. Hey, brother.
Right on.
Thanks
for
being
dude.
here, man.
Man, you reading that out raises the hair on my arms.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a little, sometimes you're in the business and you forget, but
Yeah.
feeling pretty good
I
right
know.
now.
You're doing really good, man.
Thanks,
Yeah.
buddy. Yeah, but it's good to hear out loud sometimes.
Yeah, right. It is, because we don't get pats on the back sometimes as much as some of the other people in the business. So
Yeah,
it's
but
good. It's good
I
to
don't
get
know.
that recognition, just a little bit sometimes.
The recognition is amazing, but I think the memories are worth way more. So every title you just said there, and literally I saw the people that were alongside me, the excitement of being on set, the
Nice.
different locations, and all the challenges that were there, and that's what makes you feel good. And
Cool.
You
Well,
look
we're
back
gonna-
at those and be like, wow, what a time that was, and
Yeah.
that was, and that was, and yeah.
Well, we're going to get into all of that.
Okay,
So,
I love it. I love it.
but I like to start out with a kind of simple question. Where did you grow up? Like, where are you from?
Oh man, I'm from a little town. Well, it's not too little, but 25 miles east of San Diego, El Cajon, the El Cajon zone, they called it.
So, just real quick, Iami and I, when we lived out there, we used to go to a casino called Barona
Oh my gosh.
out there
I
all
can't
the
believe
time.
you just said that. No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
It was our
Barona.
favorite place. Like, we go there. They give us free nights all the time. It was really nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I lived probably 10 miles south of Barona, but I actually grew up at Barona Oaks Raceway, which is probably
Really?
maybe 1 or 2 miles from that casino.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
cool.
where I cut my teeth riding dirt bikes from the time I was 7, 8 years old, all the way through my professional career. I've spent so many weekends out there.
Yeah.
That was my home track, Barona
Cool.
Oaks.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to get into next is, like, what did you do before stunts and growing up and all that? So dirt bike racing was a big part of your life, it sounds like, right?
Oh, it was everything.
It was everything.
Yeah, dirt bikes have always been a huge part of my life. And as a child, as a youngster, growing up in El Cajon, I remember my first dirt bike I got on the way home from preschool. We were driving, was raised by a single mom, picked me up. We were rocking and rolling in her car. And there was a little PW50 that was up against a mailbox with a for sale sign on it. Didn't run. And we pulled right over, picked that up, and I got pushed around on the yard with it for probably was months. And then finally got it running, and that was my introduction.
Wow, that's cool. And how old were you again?
Man, I was 5
4
years old. Yeah.
Wow, you
Yep.
did start young, really young.
Yeah, I'm getting older now, so maybe we can call it the olden days then. But I remember first grade, kindergarten. My dirt bike was like my babysitter.
Yeah.
We lived at the end of a cul-de-sac and had a pretty rundown house, but a pretty big yard. And we cut a little track in there. And the only rule
Nice.
I had was I had to water the track every day I got home from school to make sure I didn't make dust in the neighborhood. I'd go to the neighbor's door.
Did they complain about the noise at all?
No noise.
That's cool.
But our neighbor, I really wish I remembered his name. And I finally remember exactly what he looked like, but he had overalls and he was an older gentleman. I'd knock on the door and he'd just sit up in a chair on his porch and watch me ride my dirt bike every day.
That's cool.
So I'd run over there, knock on the door, tell him I was going to ride. He'd sit out there. He even smoked a pipe. And then I don't know what was in it, but
I don't know what was it.
yeah, but I would get the water hose out, water the track, and then I would ride. And I remember riding in that yard, my dog chasing me, and
Those are good
crazy to
memories.
think these
Those are
days
good
and age,
memories.
but there was like no supervision or no nothing. I knew where the gas was. I filled it up and put my helmet on and rode every day.
Well, that was probably, I think you're a little younger than me, but that was probably like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
time.
that was probably 82, 81, 82, because my first race, like I was just talking about, was out at Verona Oaks in 1982.
82. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, things were different back then. Like we weren't as supervised and like hoovered over, I think, as much as kids are today.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, no stretch of the imagination. I remember getting out as a kindergartner, getting across the crosswalk, walking 4 blocks to where I lived, and literally just throwing my backpack down and throwing my gear on and riding a dirt bike
That's cool.
in my yard.
That's cool.
I mean, lots of crashes, lots of scratches,
Yeah.
but never anything that was, major. But to think that day and age that could even happen, I think that any parent would probably be turned into CPA or CPS.
Yeah,
Not CPA. That's the
child
tax
services
back. Don't
or
let that go
whatever.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I truly think that it's just a different time, different atmosphere. And but man, my love for dirt bikes started at that age. And I mean, to this day, I still follow the sport. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
go through a bunch of it, I'm sure. But some of my best days still are on a dirt bike.
So how long did you continue racing till?
So I raced from when I was 5 in 1982, and then I rode up until I was I raced until I was 8, and then partway through the season when I was 9, my family was actually really close with Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR driver's family.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he grew up in the same town I did, and our parents were really close. So we would always barbecue with them and hang out on off weekends, or even at the races, we would hang out all together. And Jimmy ended up getting hurt pretty bad. He broke his leg or messed his knee up or something, and his parents had him step away from racing. So my mom actually had me step away too, and we kind of got into going to the desert and just not really competitive riding, but just riding. And that only lasted about 3 years. Because when I was 12 years old, 6th, 7th grade, I ran into a group of the kids that I used to race with. Actually, one of them is here with me now, who I'm sure we'll talk about, but Dustin, who's with me at Covert Camera Vehicles.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I've known
What's
and raced
Dustin's
him.
last name?
Dustin Nelson.
Nelson.
Yep.
Okay.
So Dustin and I raced when we were 8, and then we got to be buddies in 7th grade. He was in 8th.
Cool.
And
I'm not friends with anybody from that age, man. That's cool.
yeah, it's crazy. He's been a lifelong buddy of mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually hanging out with him at school. I saw the dirt bike, on his folders, and he had all the dirt bike gear on and the t-shirts. And so I just hung out with him all the time. Told him I used to race. Kind of remembered him from racing. We would race together when we were younger. And then I just wore my mom out about getting another dirt bike. And so luckily I got another dirt bike and then talked her into racing. And then from the time I was...
So what was your second bike? Just curious.
My second bike was a CR80.
CR80.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I started with a PW50, and then I got a CR60, and then I graduated to the Kawasaki 60, and then we stopped racing. And the crazy thing was when I was 8 years old, or just turning 9, that same month in December, we went to the year-end banquet for the race season, and got the big trophy for like getting second place in my age group and all that. And at the end of the night, they had a drawing for a brand new dirt bike, and I actually won it.
What?
Yeah, out of everybody
That's
at the banquet,
crazy.
they pulled my name out of the hat. So I
That's
had a
awesome,
brand
man.
new CR80.
Wow.
But I was way too little to ride it and stuff. But we had kept it, so I had ridden it at the desert, and I'd ridden it in, very, very little amount. But it was still in our garage, and then so it was a 1986 CR80, and then so now we're up in 1990, 91 time frame, and I tore the tarp off that thing and started figuring out why it didn't run, and pushed it around and got it to run, and then that's the bike that I went back out to Verona on, in my 86 CR80, and
Nice.
I rode the 80 beginner class for a short period of time, and then we just got right back into the swing of things, and then it just kind of went gangbusters from there.
Cool. How long did you continue doing that for?
So my all the way up through my professional career.
Yeah. Wow.
I had that CR80, and that quickly turned into a KX80, and then we started racing not just locally at Brona Oaks, but regionally around all of Southern California. And then that graduated me into doing like the World Mini in Las Vegas, and then we would go to Texas, to Lake Whitney,
Yeah.
and then we'd go all the way to Loretta Lynn's ranch in Tennessee, and just the amateur career started just kind of going and going and going. Had some sporadic good results as a youngster, and then I think my ninth grade or eighth grade year, ninth and 10th, I signed with Team Green Kawasaki. So I had an amateur support program on 80s with Kawasaki. It was just a very entry-level sponsorship, but it was,
That's cool.
And like growing up with Dustin and my core group of friends in El Cajon, we were all the same age and similar in speed. So every day was about getting home and finding someone to take us riding, and
That's
and
awesome.
just
How much
pounding
fun.
laps. So
Cool.
yeah. So then in high school, just kind of just kept going through the ranks, and then graduated high school. And my first year after high school, I turned professional in 1997.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So you went professional in 97.
Yeah, actually went professional in January of 97.
Okay. How long did you do that before you started into stunts?
So I rode professional 97, 98. It was 4 years. So
4 years. Okay.
my entry into stunts and is pretty comical. I mean, a lot of my stories
Well,
are...
that's my next question. So let's hear, how did you get
man.
into it? What was your first gig, man?
So
I
many
love
stories,
this,
but my
question.
first gig was 97. I rode for a team called Motor World of El Cajon. Rode for them through 99. And then for the 2000 year, I actually got a factory ride with KTM.
Oh, cool.
And so I thought I made it. Thought I was the man. Thought that I, got my mechanic
big,
and my
man.
flights, got everything.
Yeah.
And was well on my way to my professional career. And my first time testing with that bike, I crashed with the team and dislocated my shoulder and got knocked out. And
Oh, wow.
actually did some damage to my shoulder that I tried to ride through. So I had an orthoscopic surgery on the labrum. And then...
How old were you at this point?
Ooh, that's 2000, so 22, 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty young still.
Pretty young. But that was already... So many injuries had happened before then. I had broken arms, legs, collarbones, a few major concussions, got life flighted out of Texas as an amateur one time from being knocked out for a substantial amount of time. So the shoulder wasn't that big, and I thought I could ride through it. We got into the season, and I couldn't, so I had orthoscopic surgery. And then because it was my first real factory year, I felt a lot of pressure even at that age to get back on the bike and keep the train going. And my first race back was in Detroit, Michigan. And then I severely dislocated the same shoulder again without even crashing. I just rushed it way too fast. So I had to have full shoulder surgery after that.
Wow.
Reconstructive. They so I was out the next 3 to 4 months. I kind of limped it in through the end of the year, and then sorry to get back to your original question now, is how I got into stunts. So at the end of that year in November, I was hell-bent on getting, my reputation, my name, and my finishes back for the following year. And I was lucky enough to get sponsored by Yamaha for some bikes and parts out of a dealership.
Cool.
And I went back to one of the dealership that sponsored me forever that was like Family Motor World to get race gas. I just went in there to get race gas to go practice. And there was literally a sign on the door that said, "Be in a movie, $80 a day. Call this number." And it was Stu Siegel Productions. So I was like,
What productions?
Stu Siegel.
Stu Siegel. Okay.
Yeah, it was a local San Diego production company.
Okay, cool.
So I called the number, and they told me they were filming a movie at Barona Oaks, which is my home track. And this was all news to me. And I was like, okay. And they wanted to see a picture of my gear and my bike, and I sent them all that. And they told me just to be out there on a Monday morning. They're going to film this movie. So I go rolling into the track, and it was just like you do now when you roll into set. There was honey wagons and the camera truck, the grip trailer, and I was just kind of in awe. And they had the track.
It's overwhelming the first time, right?
So
it's
overwhelming. And they had the track completely done up and all prepped and watered, and they had the fake pits, and it looked like a real professional race. And my eyes got all big, and wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah, cool.
And as I pulled in, I recognized a bunch of the guys sitting there. I recognized like Dave Castillo and Rich Taylor, Clay Cullen, Oakley Lehman. Like I recognize these guys from either seeing them or riding with them or just our paths crossing because of dirt bikes. So I pulled my truck in next to them, and they were all like excited to see me, and they were hugging me, and
have fun.
Yeah, it was exciting. And it was like, "Oh, you guys are on this movie?" And they're like, "Yeah." And how'd you get in? And I'm like, "I just called this number," and they were all excited. And this is where I got my first entrance of knowing what a movie was like, because
so just curious, so they're kind of looking for kind of specialty extra guys that could ride.
Well, that's what I was getting to, was
Yeah.
my first introduction onto how a movie worked actually happened to go get breakfast, because I was there basically as an extra, and that was the stunt team.
Oh,
so they thought I was a stuntman. I thought they were doing what I did. I didn't know what the difference was until I went to go get breakfast with them, and then the PA at the breakfast, it was a little bit older or a long time ago, so they still had like the microphone, headset.
Yeah.
She had the list, and they were checking in, and I'm like,
sure.
And a lot of people from racing, and we can get into that too, but it's Regis Harrington. Or my full name's Regis Andrew Harrington III.
Oh.
So growing up, I was always Andy Harrington. That's
really?
As a kid, I hated the name Regis.
Huh.
So I was still Andy Harrington then, the motocross guy. So I gave her my name, and she's like, "You're not on the list." And the guys were kind of staring at me, and she realized that I was background. So she put me in the other line with the background, and then those guys were confused. I was confused, but I didn't care. I didn't mind at all.
You're just happy to be there at that point.
Exactly, and I didn't understand, but they were kind of like a little perplexed, because I was still kind of at the top of my game there. So in that environment, there was a few of us that were background, like Dustin, I believe, was there, and a few of us that were, the stunt guys were phenomenal on dirt bikes, but we were actual professional riders. So there's a few of us that, could kind of spin circles around those guys.
Yeah. Like you're doing it every day,
Yeah, exactly. That's what we lived for. So we went over to the background tent, got our lunch, and walked through the paces. And then that morning I was pushing my bike back and forth behind, the actors. And I remember at one point they asked me to take the chain off my bike because it was making noise, and it was making movies, and I thought that's what it was. And then at lunch, they had, I believe it was Castillo, had walked over to me and was like, "Hey, we're going to ride at lunch. They're going to let us, rehearse on the track." And I'm like, "I'm for it." I'm, thank goodness. Yeah. So started getting ready and started getting going. And the same PA with the microphone came over and told me that I wasn't allowed to ride because I was background. So I was a little not upset or anything, but bummed because the track looked great.
Yeah.
And as the guys started going out, the stunt coordinator was David Barrett. And so he was a huge motocross guy, and he knew me by name. And I had watched him race at Mammoth and other places. He's such a good rider. And he came up to me and asked if I was going to ride, and I told him I didn't get to because I was background. And he was the one that was like, "No, you can ride." And
Cool.
you know, got my helmet on, and he got me okay to go out on the track. And then, so when I was out on the track, that's where I rode since I was 8 years old. You know, like I literally named the rocks out there. I knew the terrain. I knew the cheater lines. I knew where to go. Yeah. I knew everything about that track. So I just went out and did my thing. And when I came back to the truck, I was taking my helmet off and stuff. The director, Steve Boyum, and David Barrett walked up and asked me if I wanted to be in the movie. And I was like, well, you obviously haven't seen me all morning. I've been in the movie. Like, I've been pushing my bike. And they laughed, and they told me, like, no, would you like to join the stunt team?
Oh,
and I was
cool,
like,
man.
I didn't know anything, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And I was just like kind of confused still. And then David looked at me and said, "Hey, your pay goes from $80 to like, I think the daily was $616 at the time, or $670." And I just
Your eyes were like, yeah.
And I remember just me being the funny guy that I'm like, "Do I get the good breakfast too?" And they're just like, they're like, "Yes, you can go to the good breakfast." And I'm like, "Can I go to that tent and get snacks?" And they were just laughing, and I'm like, "I'm in." And then awesome. David was like laughing, and this was a little bit, you know, like I said, the business has changed and stuff since then. So he was laughing. He goes, "Hey, but here's the deal." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "We actually need you to double the girl in the movie." And many of the viewers will listen to this, or they've seen it and grew up in the movie, but it was Motocross.
Sorry, what's the name of the movie?
It was Motocrossed. It was a Disney movie.
Okay.
It was kind of like the Parent Trap of a Disney motocross movie. And it was about this brother and sister that were home alone, and the brother was like the best racer and coming through the ranks. And then him and his sister decide she's actually really good on a dirt bike, but she's a cheerleader, and she's kind of like not a tomboy. Mm-hmm. And they decide to ride their dirt bikes when the parents aren't home, and then the brother gets hurt. So then the sister cuts her hair, and then she enters the races as the brother.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually a really good movie.
Well, like so you were like the main
rider. I was 1X.
Yeah.
Like I went from
you're 1X
background to 1X after riding the track for a little bit. Had just completely oblivious.
That's cool.
I just thought, I'm making way more money. This is insane. I get the good breakfast. I get the catered lunch. I get to go to Crafty. I was blown away, but I thought it was just for that day. Mm-hmm. And so they rushed me over into wardrobe, and they put me through hair and makeup, and did the whole thing. And I was so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Were you tempted to like walk by that PA and like give her the finger?
No, no, I was just so happy-go-lucky about it, and so confused on what was going on, and and thankfully, all those guys that were there, Clay Cullen was instrumental in helping me out. He immediately put me through the boot camp of, understanding, and Oakley was huge. Oakley was, all those guys that were there were really helpful because I went from just pinning it to as fast as I can to, putting a leash on myself a little bit just to make sure that we could, I didn't kill anybody or the crew and everything. But that ended up being a 6-week gig.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the
Your
day,
first stunt gig is a 6-week gig, and you're doubling 1X.
Yeah,
and you just like walked onto set as an extra. That is such a cool story.
It all happened in one day, and I had
awesome,
a truck that was barely running.
Never happens.
It never happens.
Rare, dude.
It's my whole career. There's so many different stories and so many different things that many of the people that watching this have been a part of. But that's just kind of how it's happened for me. Like, I just. Right place, right time, right idea, right personality. I don't know what it is, but...
Well, it's the right place, right time, but you were also talented at the, you're also ready. You also knew your craft, your skill, and then when you're at the right place, the right time, then everything just falls together,
So that was the very beginning of November, and then that went all the way through like the beginning, 5.5, 6 weeks of work or whatever. And I remember like... a couple different locations. We rode at the house that was across town, and then the track, and it was just a really cool experience.
And that's cool too. Like, you're also working on this movie at your playground, like your backyard.
Yeah, it couldn't have been like whether it was the man above or just everything just worked out. It was crazy. I went in there. I wasn't hustling. I wasn't trying to get a job. I didn't even know what I was there for. I was just, my $80. I was eating peanut butter and jelly and, just the typical, like when you're down and you're out. But I was still hell-bent on getting ready for the January season. So midway through it, I started panicking a little bit because I wasn't doing what I needed to do and to be ready for the racing season. But I was making more money doing this than I ever would be for racing, or not for ever racing, but it was just, it was great. And so when that finished, the last day of filming, David Barrett, the coordinator's like, thanked me and everything, and he's like, did you get your SAG card? So I had been Taft-Hartley'd, and back then it was a lot harder to get your SAG card. It was a lot harder to go through the Taft-Hartley process and to do all that. And I told him, I'll get it. And he goes, hey, you really have a chance at this. You really need to get your SAG card. He's like, I could probably use you in the future. But in my mind, that stunts was never going to be a long-term thing. I literally was saying, in my mind, I was like, yeah, how much is it? And, it was like, I forget, $2,200, $3,000, whatever it was even back then. And I'm like, oh man, like I got hotels and my race season. I need that money.
Well, yeah, especially like at that age. And if you've already, when you've come up where you're counting pennies, you're struggling a little bit. That's a lot of money that you're like, and what am I getting for this? Yeah. A card?
But I was also young and dumb and blew through that money in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? But I was getting hotels and paying race entries, prepaying them. And so I was already broke, I don't know, 2 weeks later. I mean, it had to have been because I'm sitting there at home like literally 4 days before Christmas and my phone rings. And it was a lady from a casting agency telling me that she got my name and number from David Barrett, and he was coordinating a commercial and asked if I was able to be in the commercial. And I was like, how much does it pay? Now I'm a little jaded by what it is. And so she explained it's a daily, and you get to come. And, she was like, well, like you're lucky to be being asked. And I'm like already seeing dollar signs.
Right.
So her last question was, and you're in the union, right? Because you have to be in the SAG union. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the union, but I wasn't. So that was literally like on a Wednesday. So I remember picking up the phone and telling my mom, and this is at the end of well, not in the end, but this is in my racing career after my mom funded all my racing, every weekend. She cut hair, worked long hours, paid for everything. When I got my KTM ride, I went and got my own apartment, blew through money, just typical young kid stuff. So me and her were tight, but she was just done giving me money, done supporting me in racing. Right. So I called her on a Wednesday. I said, hey, I got to borrow $2,200. And she was like, no way. I'm like, I have to get my SAG card. I have to. And at the time they had an office in San Diego. So I had called the office and they told me, yep, your paperwork's here. You just got to come pay. So I was trying to get $2,200 and race down to the SAG office to get my SAG card.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom's like just angry at me. She went to the bank, pulled the money out, and when I went to pick it up from her, I rolled the window down to grab it, and it was cash. She threw it in my truck and said, "Don't call me back till you pay me back." And I was like, fair play, but in my brain, like they told me you get Saturday and Sunday, and then back then commercials were a little bit different. I got like a double daily for the commercial. And so I was like, well, I'm going to take her $2,200. I'll make $4,000. I'll make $1,800. I'll pay her 22 back. We're all going to win. So I go up there on Friday to do the commercial. And that not the same PA, but a PA walked up and introduced herself and told me hello. And I'm sitting there ready to, get the day started. And she was the one to inform me that I was no longer needed, that I'd get my travel day that day, and that the actual stunt person on, because it was doubling Alyssa Milano, 1-800-COLLECT commercial. Wow. And she had told me, well, Alyssa has her own stunt double and they're going to go that way. And for whatever reason, I told the PA no. I'm like, no. You guys told me I'm going to be here. And then I told the PA, I borrowed money from my mom. I got to pay her back to get my SAG card. So if you guys need the trash emptied or, whatever it is, I got to work this weekend.
Yeah.
And she just, I'll never
She's
forget her
like,
look.
"The
She looked at me
trash
like,
empty."
no one's ever done this before. I'm not in that business. Like,
Yeah.
I would never do that now, but
Right.
I'd just be like, oh, okay, well, I get it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, nope. And I like put my tailgate down and I'm sitting there kicking my feet in my tailgate. And I see her go running over to David Barrett, who hadn't seen me yet.
Uh-huh.
And I see him looking at her and looking at me. And then he comes over and he's not happy. He's like, dude, you didn't get your SAG card from the other money? And I'm like, no, I was getting ready for racing and this and that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you borrowed money from your mom? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I don't know what we're going to do. So he's like, just stay here. So I'm staying there. And, the story kind of comes out bad because I didn't mean to take money out of anyone's pocket or do anything like that. But I was just adamant on making my $2,200.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on my tailgate and he comes over and he goes, hey, look, here's the situation. Like, we're going to do a wheelie contest between you and the stunt double because I need a good wheelie out of this situation. And so maybe she'll do the other stuff and you'll do, the wheelie. And I'm like, okay. So we sat there like all day on my tailgate in my truck waiting for this wheelie contest. And it was on a TTR 125, like the ultimate wheelie machine. And it was like, and I saw this stunt girl over there, like trying to wheelie and she couldn't. So I went over there to give her pointers just, and I had no idea what was going on. So I'm like, you got to dump the clutch. So I'm trying to help her wheelie. And she was cool about it.
Did you know she was your competition?
No, not at all. I didn't. Again, I had
no clue.
I needed my $2,200.
Yeah.
I had no idea of commercials or anything. Mm-hmm. And this story gets really good because
it's already really good.
Yeah. So we go to do the wheelie contest, and she goes, and I'm like, oh man, she could do better. I felt for her, like. So then they're all looking at me, and I'm like, all right. So I dump the clutch, and as soon as I get the wheelie to go, I'm like, I got it. It starts going to the left, and I kick one foot off. Because I instantly think like, oh my gosh, she's going to beat me in the wheelie contest. And I got it balanced back up, but I had one leg off trying to save it. And I ended up doing like a perfect circle, like a 50-yard perfect circle. And it came right back to where they were sitting and I dropped it. And I was just like laughing, like, did you guys just see me mess up? And they all kind of looked at each other and were like, okay. So they came back to me and said, you get to do the wheelie, you get to be in the commercial. And and she'll do the other stuff. And I was like, okay,
they thought
great.
you did it on purpose.
Yeah, it was not on purpose. I was literally panicking like I was going to lose. So they get me my hotel. They get me back to, I get a hotel it was in San Bernardino, California. Come back the next day. And I ended up doing the whole commercial just for whatever reason, just, wardrobe, the pace.
So you did everything.
Yeah. So, it wasn't a lot. It was just a slide and a wheelie, but I sat there and watched Alyssa do the acting with Jeremy McGrath, who was like the king of Supercross at the time. And so long story longer, as I get through the day, I get my money, I say my goodbyes. A week later, the paycheck comes, I pay my mom back. I got a little cash and I just thought that was the end of it. And we get into the 2001 race season. And I do like the first 2 weekends racing, and I'm doing decent. And then we're like, I think we're in Phoenix or something, and we're at a restaurant. And I look up, and the commercial was on TV. So I'm pointing to everybody like, that's me and everything. And we're all laughing and joking. And then I do like the next, what's that?
I said, that's cool.
Yeah, so
that's
we're
like
all laughing about it. And that's
when
me.
something comes on TV.
Yep.
And you're with your buddies, like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah. So we do like the next 3, however many weeks it was of racing, and it kind of went downhill for me. I had a few bad races, and I got really sick and was really worn out. And I remember coming home to my apartment, and I had a roommate at the time, and I come in after a race. It's like 1:30 in the morning. I just raced Anaheim Supercross, and the series was going back east. And so like in the 125 class, you either ride the West Coast or the East Coast. So the first 5 rounds were in the West Coast. And then it was going east for like 4 weeks. And I wasn't top 10 in points, and I wasn't having the greatest year. And I was just, kind of down and out. And I remember walking in, my roommate being like, hey, whatever, it's going to be fine. And I'm nearly in tears. And she's like, hey, I hate to tell you, but you got some bills on the counter. And I walked over and I looked at them, and there was like 5 talent partners envelopes. And I just looked at him and I said,
bills.
I'll get to those bills later. Like they look like bills to me. So I'm like, later.
Yeah.
So
You had
Sunday,
I mean, you didn't know about residuals at that time at all, right?
nothing
Yeah.
about residuals. So like Sunday comes around, I see him sitting there. I'm like, I don't want to know how much I owe
Yeah.
this union, probably charging me money. So like then that Monday comes and I start opening them and they were residuals. And like, one was literally like $8,000. One was like $250. One was like 3,000. And Duke,
so
I'm
cool.
not lying. When I thought that like their machine, their ATM was just messed up. I didn't
Like,
have
this must be
anybody to
some kind of
call.
mistake.
I didn't have anybody to call. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have David Barrett's number. I couldn't call anybody. So I'm like, I stared at that money for like 2 days. And then I was like, I'm going to take one check. I'm going to cash it. And then I'll call them and tell them that they've been mispaying me. And then when they want the money back, I'll tell them that I have to like make payments or something. I had this thing in my brain. I'm like,
Figured it all out.
22, 23 years old, and I have this fraud, like, catch me now type mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just ask for forgiveness. So
Yeah.
I took one. I went to the bank. I was covering my head when I deposited it. I was just guilty as could be. I got some money out, paid some bills, and then I remember calling. I finally got the nerve to get one of the checks, and I called Talent
Call the
Partners.
numbers. Yeah.
And I told the lady, and not to be rude or anything, but it was obviously a black lady, an African American lady by her accent. And she's like, "Baby, what's going on?" And I told him like, I don't know, you got to help explain this because I went and did this work and I got paid, and now I got home and I'm just getting paid. Like, and she was like, "Well, let's look into it." And so she started typing, and she's like, "So were you in the commercial?" And I explained to her I was in the commercial and I did all that. And then she's like, "Huh." And then she got on there a little bit longer, and then she came back and she was laughing. And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "Baby, do you know what a residual is?" And I'm like, "No, ma'am." And she's like, I think you should call the Screen Actors Guild and they'll explain it to you. And I'm like, what do you mean?" And she goes, "Baby, that's your money." She's like, "Every time you're," and I just thought I hit the lotto. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So
That's cool.
and she goes, "I have another like 6,400 that we just released. You'll be getting checks in a few days." And I was like, so I literally was calling everybody I knew in the racing world, like, load up the bikes. We're going back east. I wasn't top 10 in points, so I was eligible to ride the other coast. So I called my local crew and everybody, and I was like, "We're going back east. We're racing." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I got this money. I don't know. They told me it's mine. I'm just going to run with it, So I got that money, and it basically funded like my whole race, that commercial. And I tell David Barrett all the time. So I quickly loaded up and went back and did like New Orleans, Daytona, Atlanta, all those rounds of Supercross. And it was kind of funny because like the crew I hung out with, we would get a hotel room together and split money. And, the racing is hard on the road. And then I had this money. And I was like, "I'm getting my own room. You guys are going where to eat?" I'm like, "I'm going to hit Sizzler." Like I just, again, the dummy with a little bit of cash,
Yeah.
So I'm getting,
You're living the high life.
I'm
You're going
living
to
the
Sizzler,
high life
man.
off these residuals. And I'm calling this lady all the time saying, "Hey, you got any more? You got any more?" And
coming
you
my
wouldn't
way?
do that now, but I had like her direct number. So I'm calling her and telling her like, "You got any more released?" And the residual starts slowing down. She's like, "No, no." And I was like, "All right." And then simultaneously, I had actually qualified, I don't want to give the punchline away, but this all ties back into why I got into stunts and why everything, because it became a lot more to me than just the money, obviously. I love doing it and I did all this, but the end of the Supercross year, it's now May, and the second to last race was in Salt Lake City. And that was my final race. I crashed on the start of the main event, and I was rushing to my bike and I was picking it up, and a guy hit me and it broke my right tib and fib and dislocated my ankle. Ooh. So I got up and my foot was like doing a 90, and I just thought
a painful one, right?
It was a long list of them. That was like my 9th surgery in 6 years. And right there on the track, I was like, "I'm done. I can't keep chasing this and hurting myself." And I got loaded up onto the gurney, and the medic, Doc Bodner, who was at all the races, I told him, I'm like, done. And he goes, no, they all say that when you're hurt. I'm like, nope, I'm done. This is it. And then just every story's, you know, we're in the ambulance going to the hospital, and he's on the radio with the hospital and is like, hey, he's in massive pain. I'm going to apply, you know, and he's saying numbers. He's like, I'm going to go anywhere from 3 to 5 cc's. And I was like, 10, give me 10. I didn't even know I just remembered. He's like, and, Doc Bodner's like, okay, I'm going to give you some pain, but you got to tell me the moment you start feeling queasy. And I was like, all right. And I started feeling queasy, and I'm like, nope. I'm not telling him because I thought it would just take more away.
Yeah.
And then right when I got really sad, I'm like, okay, that's enough. And then I ended up immediately like puking it was just, I tell these stories because self-inflicting pain I put on myself because it's just who I am. When I get to the hospital, they set my leg decent enough. That's back when you could, you know, that's before 9/11. So Dustin, who's with me at Covert now, we kind of look a little similar and stuff, but my flight was 2:00 the next day. His was 9 a.m., so we traded IDs. He got me to the airplane. I flew as Dustin home, landed in San Diego, went straight to my orthopedic surgeon, had surgery, and was basically done. And then with racing, I was considered high risk, so I had like Kaiser insurance, and I had it was just real crappy insurance, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had gone to an out-of-network hospital, got surgery without going through the Kaiser protocol, gotten all that. So they denied me all this. So I was sitting there, I don't know, like weeks later, maybe a month later, I was sitting there, moved back home, had no money, quit racing, and literally thought I was 25, 30 grand in debt and had no money to pay for it. And was just like, you know, at the bottom of the barrel. And what had happened was as I was hurt, we got the SAG insurance paperwork to my house. And again, me being dumb, I just grabbed it and threw it in the corner and was like, these guys just want more money from me. I already have insurance. They denied me. They're not going to give me. And my mom was just like, will you please just call them? So I ended up calling the SAG insurance company, and then because of the movie and the commercial, I had actually qualified. For insurance, and it was retroactive to January 1st.
Oh, my God.
So I literally took all my medical bills, and that's back when you fax stuff, and I faxed it to this guy, and I waited like 2 weeks, and then didn't hear anything, and I called him back, and I asked him how it was going with the medical bills, and he's like, no, did you hear anything? I'm like, nope, and they just paid him.
Just paid them.
They had done their own due diligence and you know, negotiations, and all of them were paid. And that
is so crazy, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. So like
it's like Hollywood was just like, come on, Regis,
please,
come on, come here, we need you.
But I still was done. Like I wanted nothing to do with riding a dirt bike.
I see.
I had done it since I was 8 years old, and I felt like I let the world down. I had good people that sponsored me. I had, you know, gotten to what I thought was the top, and I knew that I didn't put as much into it as I needed to. And it was more of this, like I was really mad at myself and the sport. But as soon as that was paid for and stuff, I was so angry at the sport, because here we are, these gladiators that compete in front of 60,000 people every weekend, you know, with a motorcycle. And I felt the sport just kind of put us on our own. You know, I go to a movie and they give you breakfast, you know, they provide you snacks.
Yeah.
Someone's walking around handing you a water. They give you insurance, you know, in racing. And I was just like, man, like I still wasn't like trying to be a stuntman at the time, but I was so mad at the sport, because I'm like, look at this movie industry, like they pay, and I just tell everybody, you know. And so I immediately got a job in the motorcycle industry, because that's all I knew, but it wasn't racing. It was being a boot rep. So I went from racing Supercross to 4 months later going to the tracks and giving people boots, trying on boots with people, being like the sponsor rep.
Was that tough?
It was. I didn't think it was tough until later. I didn't think it was tough because, I mean, to get pretty deep here, but about that same time, I started developing like crazy anxiety and full-blown anxiety attacks. And I didn't know what they were. I thought I was having The panic attacks were so bad that I literally would, make whoever was driving me pull over or call an ambulance. The fear of doom that I was having, the constant anxiety all day. Like I think
How old were you at this time?
What's that?
How old were you at this time?
This was 2021, so I was 24. And I think that the stopping racing had so much of an impact on me because by the time, when I went through school, when I went through high school, elementary, like everybody's like, what are you going to do when you get older? I was going to be a motorcycle rider, going to be a pro motorcycle rider. Right. I remember arguing in high school with my teachers that I was going to make more than them riding a dirt bike, and I barely got through high school because that was my passion and my love. And I don't think on the outside, I felt that I was happy with my decision, but I think mentally it slammed me. So I started having these gnarly, really crazy panic attacks and anxiety, and I was going to the hospital, and they were giving me Zoloft and Xanax, and I just told everybody I didn't need it. I didn't need those pills. And I told everybody I used to race in front of 60,000 people, and I'd get so nervous I'd throw up, but I'm fine. Something's wrong with me. Like, you guys don't get it.
Yeah.
I never heard of anxiety or panic or disorder or anything.
Right.
So
I
became kind of a recluse there for a little while. I was so afraid to go out and have one or to be, to embarrass myself. So I just kept going to the doctor's office every time I had it and complaining. And finally, well, not finally, but another Regis moment, I was literally driving and started to have one. I drove to my doctor and told him I wasn't leaving until they figured it out. And he gave me an EKG. And I think I manifested this, and I'll tell you why when we get into it. But they actually were like, "Hey, we're gonna transport you to a cardiologist. You do have something going on in your heart. You have an arrhythmia, and it's because you have this Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and your heart beats with two like electrical impulses, nodes in your heart. And I had an extra piece of skin off mine, so they were thinking that it was like a spark plug wire was firing off itself." And that was giving me my high heart rate, and that was putting me into this fight or flight. So I was convinced, like, told you guys, it's not mental. It's not. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
So I go to a cardiologist. Now this is all the way in 2022 or 2023. I'm sorry, 2003. Yeah, I'm sorry, 2002 or 2003, but it's right in that timeline. 2002. Sorry, and the Supercross series is back, and they just found this out. And then the Supercross race that weekend was San Diego, so I went, and I was just staying low profile, and I knew I had to, have this procedure done, and I was still down and out. And I ran into my orthopedic surgeon, who was the doctor of the Chargers. He was the orthopedic and the head trainer of the Chargers, and he had done like all my bone surgeries.
Yeah.
And I told him what was going on, and he told me that call him Monday morning because his best friend and his neighbor was the head of cardiology of UC San Diego, and that he would talk to him. And I still had the SAG insurance at the time.
Yeah.
So I called Dr. Murphy on Monday, and then he put me in touch with this doctor. And I got the VIP treatment, and I was told to go see this cardiologist the next morning at 7 a.m., be there, and they're going to put me through my paces. And I showed up and got there, and this really cute nurse was there, and she checked me in, and I felt so horrible. I let myself go. I probably looked the worst I could. And she checked me in, and I go in the back, and we're waiting for the doctor, and I can hear this girl talking to another girl in the hallway. It was like God had like thinned the walls for me, because I could hear everything. And the really cute girl was saying to the nurse that, like, the nurse was actually the doctor's, or the head of the back office was the doctor's wife. And she's like, "So what? And she's like, "And stop it." And they're like, "No, Dr. Murphy said he's a VIP, and we need to get you a man. And what do you think?" And she was like, "Oh, he just really let himself go." And I heard all this, and so I just was just like in so despair, like, oh my gosh. And then so we went through the whole thing the morning, and then the doctor was like, "Yep, you need to have surgery. We'll get you with the best surgeon, the person, and can you come back at 3?" So I went, and I left, and I got a haircut, and I got changed, and I was my best self, and I came back, and I asked that nurse out. And yeah, we've been married 25 years now.
That's
so
awesome.
That ended up being my wife.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What
So
a cool story, man.
the crazy thing was I had the heart surgery, I had everything, and just met Jamie, my lovely wife, and
So once they had the surgery, did that fix it?
no. That's when I found out that I had literally had anxiety. Like, it was a long process, dude. It did for like 2 weeks because mentally I came out and I was like, I'm great. I'm good now. Everything's fine. And then like 2 weeks later, I had a panic attack.
Oh, wow.
So it was just a long road to recovery. So like I was devastated when I had the panic attack, but that's when I started, researching and finding out what that was and how come. But, my whole life had
Just
been
real quick, if you hadn't found out about your heart and had that surgery, would it have developed into something life-threatening or serious or?
well,
something?
I mean, I was told by the doctors that like had I been at a high heart rate, like racing, and that arrhythmia, maybe the tachycardia, the arrhythmia had happened then, that I was, exposed to having, like a cardiac arrest moment or something like that. But I honestly, like looking back on it and stuff, I truly believe it was anxiety and panic. And I basically forced them to find something that could be that problem.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they did
That's
the
what
right
you
thing.
meant by when you said you manifested it.
Yeah, I truly do. Like, I believe that going back to the racing thing, I think that it had such a mental impact on me for not doing it that I truly developed an anxiety disorder over it that then turned into panic attacks. But I didn't believe in it. So I kept forcing them to find something that I think they found.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would have ever been an issue or not. I don't think when they were explaining what was happening, I was like, well, that's not really what I'm feeling, but that's got to be it. So then we had the surgery and they said we got it and everything was great. And then I had an anxiety attack and I was like, well, But the greatest thing that came out of it was, meeting my future wife. And so when we met, I was just hell-bent on getting myself better. So I was really trying to work on the mental stuff of it. I didn't want to have panic and anxiety. And, I fell in love with her. And then at that moment,
That's the worst. Like, that's one of the worst. I've had a couple in my lifetime. And
when you put the pressure on yourself not to have them, that's when they have them.
that's when,
Yeah.
It's like a negative feedback loop.
It's totally, and
it's when a certain fear comes up, and then that causes you to worry about it more, and then
exactly. That's all it is. As soon as you start having one, or that gets to that point, if you can't catch it and breathe, I mean, I kind of feel like a pseudo expert on it now. I feel so bad for anybody that's going through it.
Yeah.
But like, even my wife, like back then when I'd have them, she's like, "You're not breathing." I'm like, I am, but I realized I'd breathe through my chest because I'd be panicking and like taking shallow breaths and like, and then even that makes you lightheaded, and then you start worrying about that.
Yeah,
and, so breathing, as simple as it sounds, is such a key component to getting over them.
Yes.
But I've never had to think of that before. So then when they started happening, I'd get these, and then I even felt bad about having to do this stupid stuff to just be normal, and then that would even give me a negative reaction. And so it was a long process, and so no stunts at this time at all. And then it was probably a year and a half later, and my wife and I are living together, and everything is going. I'm working at a normal job and just making things happen. And out of the blue, I got a phone call from Dave Castillo, and he was like, "Hey, you've been riding?" And I knew what the phone call was. I knew what the money was. And so I'm like, yeah, every once in a while, here we are, And he's like, yeah. And he goes, well, we're doing a movie in Long Beach. And I gave your name to the coordinator, and I think that you'd be perfect for this. And,
Cool.
So the coordinator called me and asked me if I could come up to Long Beach in like 2 days and actually ride a real Supercross track again. And it had been a year, 2 years since I had. But I was honest with them, and I didn't even own a bike at the time, so I went to that same dealership that had the sign in the door and went to the general manager there, Glenn, told him I needed a bike, just pulled a bike off the showroom floor, a used one, stock suspension, stock everything, borrowed some gear, and then went up to Long Beach. Then I got there and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And it ended up being Charlie's Angels 2, Full Throttle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I showed up there, and that was a major feature film,
Yeah.
major base camp, major everything.
It's a much bigger budget
Yeah,
movie.
but they had actually had like a professional, the people that make the Supercross tracks, they had made the set and the track, the coal bowl, they called it. And it was just another one of those, you know, Regis moments. I got there and I went out on the track, and the stunt coordinator watched me ride, and nothing, no idea what it was or how long it was. And at the end of the day, I shook his hand, and he told me it was another month-long job. And like, see you tomorrow.
Wow.
And so I got back into doing, I just walked back on, and I actually doubled Cameron Diaz in that for all the racing.
Really?
Yeah. So I was Cameron Diaz's stunt double.
So you for your first 3 gigs, you doubled a girl.
My first 11 ended up being girls. Yeah. There's many more after this that for my first 11 jobs, I was a motorcycle rider for a female actress. Wow. Yeah. So I did Charlie's Angels, and I did everything but the backflip. They had Mike Metzger come in, who was an X Games phenom at the time. He came in and put the wardrobe on and did the backflip. So I can't say I did everything.
That's cool.
But the whole racing scene I did, and then that was a month, and then I got home and pocket full of money, just excited as can be, you know, but I had a regular job, and I thought the dream was over. And like 2 days later, Lance Gilbert called me and said that he was doing a movie in Indio. It was called Torque, and it was a motorcycle movie.
Okay.
And he needed
India, you said?
What's that?
It was in India?
Indio.
Indio.
Like Palm Desert, Palm Springs.
Oh,
Indio.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And that was like, I think we wrapped on Charlie's like on a Thursday or a Friday. And then like Sunday, he called me and asked me to load up and come out to Palm Springs. So I was out there for 2 weeks.
Dang, man.
And so life was good. And I came back and still wasn't pursuing stunts full time. And just came back, and then went back to my normal job, just in the motorcycle industry. You know, slowly but surely burned through that money, but had no interest in chasing the motorcycle dream. And then actually, I take that back. When I came back from Torque, like everybody was talking to me about how I needed to move to LA and be a stuntman and make it happen, you know? So I was real reluctant because I was in love with Jamie, and we couldn't move to LA, and it was 3 hours away. And, you know, talking to the guys, Clay Cullen was one of my biggest, you know, dudes that was trying to talk me into it. And everybody was trying to talk me into it. So I moved up to LA by myself, and rented a room from Rich Taylor, another stunt motorcycle guy.
You weren't married yet?
Nope. Yep, we were just together.
Just together, okay.
So she stayed in El Cajon, and I went to LA, and then but again, I didn't know the stunt industry at all. I didn't know how to hustle. I didn't know what to do. I didn't do anything, and I did it all wrong. And I went to LA.
Well, the way you got into it is like, I'm sorry, but I've never heard of that.
No, I've never.
Especially
no,
that
it was
many times.
it was just happening by my stature and my skill set.
Yeah,
you know, not because I was chasing it.
You weren't chasing it. It was like chasing you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I go up to LA, and then I have good people around me and stuff, but I didn't know the business. I didn't have anybody that was like, you know, that took me under their wing per se. Like they would tell me, yeah, you got to get headshots, you got to do that, and I was doing all that, but I was so scared of not having an income. I ended up getting another job when I was in LA at a motorcycle place. And I thought that I could just do the stunts part-time until I started getting going. And that was just idiotic. If we can get talking later, I understand that people need to make a living and stuff, but back, you know, being in LA and with the competitiveness of it and stuff, you really needed to treat it as a full-time job, looking back on it. And I was only doing a quarter of what I should have been doing to try to make it. I thought that because I was in LA that the phone would ring, you know, people would call me like they used to in San Diego, just hearing that I was there. You know, I had been so lucky and so walked into every other job I had. I didn't understand the game of hustling and, you know, bettering my craft or even, I just thought motorcycle riding was going to make me, you know, and I had become, so I was up there doing that. And then, quickly ran out of all my money. And then lo and behold, I get a phone call to do, there's now going to be another movie about dirt bikes called Supercross, the movie. Okay. And again, it was directed by Steve Boyum. Mm-hmm. It was actually one of Channing Tatum's first ever movies. He's in it.
I do remember that movie. It's been a while, but yeah, it's vague. But
yeah, so that movie's coming out. It's going to be in theaters. It's the first big movie about Supercross. Everybody's excited. Yeah. I get the phone call, but they call me and they tell me that they want me to actually compete in the race at Sam Boyd Stadium in Vegas because they need to get B-roll of the characters. And I thought there's no way they're going to let us do that. So I was like, all right.
So this is the real race.
They want us to, that the real finale in Vegas is going to be the first weekend of going,
I see.
Is going to film.
They want, like you said, B-roll footage that they can
correct. So they had
you.
They had Dave Castillo, Rich Taylor, and myself actually entered in the Las Vegas Supercross.
And that's something that you usually have to qualify.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But because we all had substantial names in the industry, mm-hmm. I even thought there's no way they're going to let us race. There's no way that they're going to put us in through the, because it's the last Supercross of the year. So at that time, basically, if you signed up, you were in the night show. Mm-hmm. So they just needed us to be in the night show to get the lights and the crowd and these characters riding. So we didn't have to make the main event or do anything out there, but we just had to be in the heat races and, so they could capture some stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then, but back in my brain, I was like, there's no way they're going to let us race. Mm-hmm. There's no way they're going to let us show up we had Team Nami gear and purple bikes. And I'm like, there's no way. And then lo and behold, the AMA called me and told me they were so glad to have me back. And they gave me my pro card again. And I was like, oh, this is really happening. Wow. Like, this is bad. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
But
yeah, unfortunately, getting ready for it, I had to go ride Supercross because I wasn't just going to show up after not racing for, 4 years now, 3-4 years. So, unfortunately, out practicing, getting ready, I knocked myself out, dislocated my other shoulder. So that was the end of stunts for me. I had done, I was just, in my brain, I was tired of getting wrecked.
Yeah.
And I know in the film world, and we make everything safe and you're not supposed to crash and stuff, but when you're racing a dirt bike like that, you got to do it every day. Yeah. You got to be, it's a professional sport. Mm-hmm. It's a hard.
And you can't fake it.
Yeah. So I was trying to rush myself to get into being able to go out there and to do this. Mm-hmm. And I got hurt. So then that was when I was living in LA. So that was back when I dislocated my shoulder, and they give you the braces that make you stand like this, So I had that bar off my hip, had a concussion, and so I just packed up my stuff and came back to El Cajon, and was like, the stunt dream's over. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I was, full in love, wanted to be, fully in love, wanted to be a good dad, wanted to start a family and do all that. So a few years had gone by, and me and my wife got married, and we had our first child, and we were literally just doing the 8 to 5, Monday through Friday grind.
Yeah.
And I was doing odd and ends jobs. At the time, I ended up being the X Games head judge. I was a judge for all the freestyle motocross stuff.
Cool.
And then I had graduated and being the head judge. Mm-hmm. Then I started doing some announcing for X Games. So, I had gotten out of the motocross industry, and I actually went and worked at an auto body shop. I was an estimator. So I was just kind of doing all these odds and ends jobs and just making my way. And we had our first child, and he was 1 year old, and we were at his birthday party with our family and everybody around, and I had him on my lap, and I was rubbing his shins as we were singing happy birthday, and I felt a lump on his shin. And I was like, that's really weird, and it was really concerning to me, and so my mother-in-law, my mom, everybody touched it, and they're like, oh, it's just, it's baby stuff and he'll grow out of it. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I convinced my wife to make an appointment and stuff, and we took him to the doctor. And they did x-rays and they looked at it, and then we knew something was up because they immediately sent us to Children's Hospital. We were in our normal pediatrician, and they're like, you need to go to Children's Hospital. So we went there and they did more tests and stuff. And fortunately, but unfortunately, we got to a certain doctor that told us that he had something severe, and that they couldn't quite test for it. It wasn't like a blood thing they could do, but you had to have certain symptoms, and they called it neurofibromatosis,
Okay.
which is like a neurological disease.
Mm-hmm.
And they told us that our baby boy at 1 year old had this, and we're like, how do you know? And they're like, that's the major factor is he had bone missing in his shin. He had like holes.
Wow.
And so his shin bone was actually growing and it was bending.
Huh.
So they put him in a brace all the way up to his hip at 1 year old, and told us he's gonna have to wear that for the rest of his, until he was fully grown and you could have surgery. But
Wow.
I mean, they gave us like the worst, it was like the worst experience. I still wish I could go back to this lady and tell her she needed to be kinder. But
Yeah.
basically told us if my son broke his leg, they'd have to amputate it. There's no way it would ever grow
my
back. And
gosh. Jeez.
they put, and that we were in it for the long haul, that he was probably going to develop neurological disease and he was going to have learning disabilities.
What?
Yeah, we were brand new parents and we were just freaked out.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
it was life-changing, but
blow.
it's our boy, so we're like,
Yeah.
so my wife and I were doing research on the disease and trying to figure out how to combat that and what we were going to do, and
Right.
buckling up, and we found a doctor that basically wrote the book on neurofibromatosis. And he's at Children's Hospital in San Diego.
Wow.
And simultaneously, my boss from the auto body shop came to me, and because my son had that, then he was deemed high risk. So our insurance went to like $1,700 a month. So my boss was like, I love you. And it's right during the 2008, 2009 recession.
Oh, yeah.
And so his business was going down, and he was like, man, I'm doing everything I can to keep you employed, but I can't pay your insurance anymore. So our family was like, we had bought our first house. We're living paycheck to paycheck. We can't pay for, daycare. My wife's mom's watching our son 3 days a week. My mom's watching him 2 days a week. We're barely making it by. And we couldn't get the insurance. And then the light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, I got to get that SAG insurance. I got to go see that other doctor. Our insurance wouldn't let us see that other doctor or pay for it. We had no money. So I just concocted this plan, and I started reaching out to the Dave and the Dave Castillo and the Clay Cullen, Oakley. I had met Jimmy Roberts at the time through racing. I had met all these guys in LA that I was still hadn't talked to in a while, but I kind of just explained them. I was honest with them, like, hey, I need to do stunts. I need to get that insurance. My son, this is. And so everybody was really like, okay, we'll keep our ear out. We'll keep our ear out. And I had already worked for Lance on Torque, because that was back in the Charlie Angels days. So I'm working at the auto body shop one day, and I get a phone call, and it's Lance. And he's like, hey, buddy, we've had an incident up here filming this movie, and we need, don't get it wrong, but we need a guy to come be a girl on a motorcycle, and can you leave right now? Like,
Right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to my boss and told him, and he's like, yeah, hit it, go. So I went up to Victorville and had a week on that show. And that whole week, like, all the boys were like, man, where have you been? What are you doing? You should be doing this. You can do it. You can make it. Now this is in 2010, 2009, 10.
Okay.
I think it's 10. And I'm listening to them, and they told me I needed to get on the stunt contact, and I told them I didn't know what I was doing and how to get a job, and so they were giving me all this stuff. And then, we got to the end of the week, and Lance, I went to dinner with Lance on Friday, and we got to the end of the week, and he was like, hey, so tell me what your deal is. And one of the boys had told him what I was, there for and doing, and he was like, all right, well, how much money have you made? And I told him, and he's like, all right, no, I'll keep you for another 2 weeks. I'll just make you part of the crew.
Wow.
Like, we got to get that insurance.
Wow.
So yeah, he kept me around, and
Dang, man. That's cool. That's huge.
yeah, that's a tough one. But so yeah, he kept me around, and we got that figured out. And then in those 2 weeks, people were telling me like, too bad you don't live in Louisiana. There's all kinds of work out there. And so I was putting that together in my head, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's the time
That's
everything was going to
Louisiana.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
I
And
remember
so
that.
they were
Yeah.
teaching me about that. And I was like, okay. And then I got the stunt contact, and I was at the auto body shop, and I was looking at the stunt contact, and it just said Louisiana, Louisiana, Louisiana. And I'm like, again, I'm in El Cajon. I don't know anything. I don't know who to call. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to save I'm going to fly myself out there, hustle these shows. And then when they call me, I'll fly back out there. I thought I had this brainiac idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to show everybody just how bad I want it. I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah.
So I go to my wife and I tell her, hey, I'm going to spend $300-400 on a flight, and I'm going to go do this. And she was like, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? You know? And, so I do. And the night before I leave, I email like everybody I'd met, Lance Gilbert, you know, a lot of the Brand X guys, Oakley, Clay, Too Tall, like Danny Winans, like all the guys that knew me from moto and everything. And I wrote them this, Tom Harper. And I wrote them this letter, just like, this is how bad I want it. I'm flying myself to Louisiana. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show everybody the ultimate hustler. You know, so I wake up super early in the morning. I get on my flight. I land in Louisiana, and I get all these emails back saying, don't do that. You can't do that. That's against, you know, back then it was like, you can't work local unless you live there.
Yeah.
Call me now. And I think it was Tom Harper. It's like, call me immediately. So before I even got my rental car, I called Tom, and he goes, hey, dude, like, I love it. I love the intuition and stuff. He's like, but we're fighting against that in the union, and you know, that's not how it's done.
Right.
He goes, now look, if you live there, I'll do everything I can to help you, and everybody will, but you can't do what you said you're going to do in your email. Like, that's cheating the system and against, you know, travel, and, you know, and he explained it to me, and it made sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, you get it. Yeah.
But I was so bummed because I had like literally reached out to people. Like Stanton Barrett was there at the time in Louisiana, and I went to StantonBarrett.com, and I'd given him a hustle email about David Barrett, his brother, and this and that, and he knew me. I had met him on motocross, so he had emailed me back and said, come out here. But even he was like, wait, you're not moving here? And I'm like, no. And he's like, no, I'm not taking you. Like, you know, like there's a way you have to do it.
Yeah.
So the first day it immediately went from, okay, I'm here to try to hustle, to could I live here? So I changed my whole focus and found a neighborhood and a school, and I took photos, and I got literature, and I spent like 4 days there, and I had met like great people, Lex Gettings, Steve Ritzy, Tom Akos, and they were all like really receptive, but like, you know, Lex, boo, you ain't living here. You ain't nothing, you know? I'm like, oh. So I flew home, and it went from how'd the hustle go to I sat my wife down and was like, I showed her all my presentation. I was like, I need 1 year. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we got to move to Louisiana. And she's like, no way. You know, we grew up in San Diego, and the only thing we knew about Louisiana at that time was swamp people. You know, we thought the bayou, and that's all Louisiana was. She's like, I'm not eating alligator. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And now we had two kids. We had our baby Jax, who was not even a year old. And then we had Drew, who was now 4 years old. And I'm like, look, I think this is the only way that it's going to work. Like, there's, you know, the really good guys in LA are working, but not as much as before. In Louisiana, there's a chance that I could be one of the guys out there that makes a name for myself.
Yeah, right.
So I said, in 1 year, I mean, we own our house here. We'll rent it out. My boss at the auto body shop, you know, he'll understand. And if it doesn't work, then I'll get a job out there, and then 1 year. And so she agreed to it. And I think it was only like 2 weeks later, I went to the auto body manager, and because of the recession and stuff, I was doing him kind of a favor, and he understood and told me I'd always have a job if I came back. And I loaded up my truck and moved out there and got an apartment and sent for the family, and we just went for it. We knew Lex and Lisa and Tom and Stanton and Bill Scharf and Maddie Thompson. That was our crew. Eric Salas. I mean, that was my crew out there, but I was still so brand new. I had no idea what I was getting myself into and how it was going to work.
How long did it take for you to start getting some work after you moved there?
Again, another Regis story. Like, just the business was calling me.
Yeah.
At the time, Darren Prescott and Hank Amos were there. I hadn't met them before, but they were doing a movie called Contraband, and it was my first ever hustle. And I didn't know what a hustle was like or anything, but Eric Salas was my hustle guru.
He's great.
Oh my gosh, we talk about it now, but we were militant about our hustles. We would stay in his apartment, and we would have the stunt contact, and we had spreadsheets and who talked to who, and that's worth a whole nother podcast. But Eric and I would sit there and we would study, and we would know more about the movie than the actual stunt coordinator probably. I mean, we were just we would train in the morning, hustle, tag team a hustle. We did everything together. So but for my first hustle, we knew the office was there in Chapatulas. We went down there, and again, I wore a collared shirt, slacks. I thought it was more like a job interview. And I walked in and asked to talk to Mr. Prescott. And he's, still one of my near and dear friends in the industry. I just worked with him a few weeks ago. Such a great dude. And walked into his office, and I sat with him, and I handed him my resume. And on it, at the time he was in Brand X. So on it, I'd done my due diligence. I knew that he was in Brand X. So my names for references were Clay Cullen, Danny Winans, Tom Harper, Clay, Oakley Lehman. And he looked at my envelope, and he looked at the names. And the first thing he asked me was, do you live here, or do you just say you live here? And I'm like, nope, I live here. I have an apartment. I moved with my wife, my 2 kids, and we're doing it the right way. And by then I knew what the right thing to say was and everything. And so he kept looking at his calendar, and he looking at me, and he's like, And we talked for a while, and, told him about my X Games experience. And a lot of people out there don't know it, but Darren actually competed in X Games in the street luge. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So we had some common ground in X Games. And so it was a great meeting with him. And then anybody in Louisiana knows I lived in Baton Rouge. So I get in my truck, and I get through traffic, and I'm over the long bridge. The sun's going down. Great thing. I called my wife, thought, man, it went great. Think I'm going to have something. And he calls me and tells me, you got I got, a day for you tomorrow. Like, come on out. Asked me if I could fight. I was completely honest. Told him no way. I'm a dirt bike guy. So I'm sorry, I can do my best. And he said, well, it's not really real fighting. It's more dirty, just standing on your feet, so I'll get you through it. And, but just come in tomorrow and let's see how you can do it. So I remember getting back to the apartment that day and calling Tom Akos. He gave me a stunt school for like 3 hours of fighting at the apartment. He was out there teaching me how to swing wide and do this dirty boxing stuff. But I was really, really honest. I never said that I could fight but he gave me some pointers, and the next day I went in and rehearsed, and I ended up getting the job, and I doubled Giovanni Ribisi, who was number 2 on the call sheet. It ended up being a few weeks. And then
ended up being a few weeks?
Huh?
You said it ended up being a few weeks?
A few weeks, yeah. Wow. That was literally right before Christmas. I got like a week before Christmas. And then we started back up like January 4th or whatever it was, and went like all the way through January. And I was a really good double for Giovanni. And then just another Regis thing, just kind of hit the ground running. I did that. And then immediately from there, the stunt contact. I mean, a lot of people watching this will know, but I got the stunt contact, and I saw Giovanni's name in there going on to another movie in Boston, and the stunt coordinator was Scott Rogers. So I'd actually gone to Darren and asked if he knew who Scott Rogers was. He started laughing because they were like come up through the business together and, years long as friends.
Cool.
So Darren was like, why do you ask? And I showed him the stunt contact, and he literally picked up the phone and called Scott and said, I have your double here. If you need him, he's great. And then a week later, Scott called me and had me come up to Boston and start doubling Giovanni on Ted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it just started rolling from there.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So you said that was 2010-ish?
That was 2011. 2010, like November of 2010 is when we made the jump to Louisiana.
Okay.
Got a couple days, and then we went home for Christmas and stuff, and then 2011 is when I started doubling on Ted. Ted, and And then went from
And at
Ted.
that time, like, there was so much going on in Louisiana and New Orleans. Like, I'm sure once you got into the rhythm, everybody knew you were there. Guys start passing your name around a little bit. You probably were going from job to job to job for a while.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a double-edged sword because I got in Louisiana and obviously got contraband, but then I immediately went to Boston and started working with Scott. And I met Mickey Giacomazzi and you know, one of the greatest dudes in the world. I met Mickey, and then I met Scott. I met, you know, all the guys from LA out there. I met Sean Graham. I met all these guys that were on that movie in Boston, and then they went back to LA. And then it's kind of crazy because I moved my family from San Diego to Louisiana, and then the absolute stuntman, you know, worst case scenario, you get busy and then I'm not even in Louisiana. I literally I put my wife and kids in an apartment.
And you're flying
and I'm
out.
like, hey, I'm out of here.
All
I'm
these
going to
different
Boston.
places.
And then I get back from Boston and I get the call of a lifetime about going on Batman for Batman.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then I Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. Okay.
So my name had gotten passed around, and then again, there's so many good people in this business, but George Cottle is just one of
cool. He's
just
awesome.
up here in just class and just everything. So George called me, and you know, my name had been passed around a little bit, and then immediately went out to LA for like 8 weeks. So I'm back in California. I'm so sorry, babe. My wife and kids are sweating in Louisiana. They just in this little apartment. I'm like,
you're gone.
how's kindergarten going? How's first grade? Okay, I'm in California. Like, so we
It's
go
just
out.
the way the business.
It's just the business. So, and then you just work breeds work. You know, all the way back on contraband, I got to meet Hank, and Hank walked me through everything.
Love
and
Hank.
He helped me so much, and then I earned some trust with him, and they allowed me to do some driving stuff. And I knew I could do it, but they didn't know, you know? And so now I have Hank in my corner and Darren, and then I get Scott and Mickey, and then you got George Cottle, and then I'm on Dark Knight Rises, and, you know, you had to ride double on a bike, and it's me, Castillo, and Riley Harper, and we all had passengers, and my passenger ended up being Bryson Counts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so Bryson and I spent, you know, weeks together with him on the back of my bike. So we became good friends.
Who were you doubling for that show?
I wasn't doubling anybody. I was one of the the bank robbers that comes out of they all leave on motorcycles and they take these hostages on the back. But we did a lot of the chase in LA, and then we actually ended up going to New York and then doing a lot of it actually on Wall Street.
Cool.
And, you know,
cool
and it was a Nolan film. So, I mean, like, you know, and the crew on that was so massive. And so you just start networking with all these different people. And from that one, I, you know, and at this time it's just straight, you know, stunts and we worked all the way through, you know, it was a long show. And then that brought us to the end of 2011. And then at the very end of 2011, I heard about Bourne. And Bourne Legacy, I think, is the one. Yeah. And Jeremy Renner was going to be on a dirt bike, so my name had gotten thrown around a little bit. And then, you know, fast forwarding now, I'm in Stunts Unlimited, and I was so honored to be brought in a few years ago to Stunts Unlimited with like Chris O'Hara and Lance Gilbert, and everybody's there. So these stories are so funny because Chris, before. Like, they're going to the Philippines for a couple months to do this motorcycle thing. And like in December, I wrote Chris O'Hara this letter that was like, when I read it, it sounds like the most amazing professional business letter ever. But when you hear Chris read it, it sounds like just the worst letter anyway. Dear Mr. O'Hara, please consider me for, you know, just the worst. Like, I thought, like, man, this is confidence. This is great. He's not, you know, and then he reads it in his voice, which he's done totally to me a few times.
Yeah.
But yeah, somehow convinced him to where he brought me out to the Philippines.
Well, it worked.
It did work. So. I mean, it did work. And
that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think Dave Castillo had a lot to do with that again. Dave's an amazing friend of mine who's always had my back. So yeah, so I mean, like I said, I just kind of hit the ground running, and because of my specialty, and because I started meeting the right people that were in Louisiana,
Yeah.
so there was a lot of work there, and so I met the Darrens and you know the Steves and the Lexes and you know even at the time Galpin, you know I met all those guys, but they knew other people.
I'm sure you worked with a good buddy of mine that came up with Trace Jeremy.
Oh yeah, so Trace, yep,
Yeah.
I love Trace, yep.
Yeah.
So you meet all those people, and then the network just grows, right? So I got lucky to have worked with some really big coordinators on big shows that just came to town and weren't so local shows. And then when they went off, like my name and my resume was, you know, went off with them.
And you got all those guys on your resume. That says a lot right there.
Yeah. Yep. So it was just hit the ground running, like I said, and then that brought me to the Philippines, and I was brought in.
What movie was that?
What's that? That was Born Legacy.
That was Born Legacy? Okay.
Yep. And that was for Dan Bradley,
That was a great movie.
second unit directing, and Chris O'Hara, the stunt coordinator, and then Mickey Giacomazzi was out there again, and Dave Castillo and Chris Palermo. I mean, there was just such a good group of people out there.
There's great motorcycle stuff in that too.
Yeah, and so I was brought in as the backup double for Jeremy Renner. And they had a French guy that was doing the majority of it. And Chris was honest with me. He said, "Hey, dude, you're basically here in case that guy goes down. You know, we're in the Philippines. I got to have a backup. So you're the backup."
Yeah.
And then, but that was great for me because Chris would have me going and rehearsing the wire gags and,
So
you know, and I would,
a lot of these other parts of the business.
yeah, I was just helping, you know, fit in wherever I could to just be a part of the team. So that was good. And then slowly but surely, I kept getting a little bit fed to me here and there. And, you know, if JP was over on second unit, I'd do some first unit stuff. And then when JP had to ride with the actress or, you know, he'd be on first unit, I'd do second unit. So it was an overall great experience. But that was, and I'm sure we'll get into it, and I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but that movie was the brainchild of Covert Camera Vehicles.
Okay.
So I was on that movie, and Dave Castillo was riding the camera bike, and I didn't even know they existed. I mean, I knew they existed because of Danny Winans and, you know, Steve Holiday, Logan's father. I knew that the camera bike was a big world, but I wasn't into it at all. I remember being on set, and for whatever reason, JP was somewhere else, and so I had to do a scene with Rachel Wise, the actress. And so she was on the bike with me, and we rolled cameras. We started getting ready, and Dave was in front of us on the camera bike, and it was a two-stroke Piaggio scooter, a 125cc scooter. And when it started, it was smoky, and it stunk like oil, like premix. And me growing up riding a dirt bike and riding motorcycles was so excited about, I was like, oh, that smell brings me back. She, on the other hand, did not like
so
it.
Much.
So she called cut and said she couldn't work with the bike and didn't want to work with those fumes. And right then I was like, why don't they have an electric one of those camera bikes? And so that was
that was where
the start of it. Yep.
The spark went off.
Yep. That's where the start of it went. And I talked to Dave, and Dave, you know, introduced me to the key grip, and I started learning who people were because I'm just a stunt guy that, you know, hey, move that pad, fall down there. I wasn't paying attention to anything on that side of the world quite yet.
Yeah.
And so I took some of the money that I had made, or I took basically all the money that I had made from that show, and I had got home and I bought an electric motorcycle and had the idea of building the bike, and I got together with a really good friend of mine back in San Diego, Jeff Pology, and he helped me design it, and I give full credit to him. And then I got this bike, and I got it to Louisiana, and didn't know the first thing about using a camera bike at the time. It was just another tool that I thought was in my toolbox to help me get another, you know, contract, another weekly or a daily. And so I was telling stunt people that I had this bike, but I didn't know about DPs or key grips or any of that. So it sat in my garage for months and months, and it felt like the biggest paperweight that I had bought. And then, you know, lo and behold, I get a call about them needing an electric vehicle to shoot a football movie. It was called When the Game Stands Tall in Louisiana.
Okay.
And we did a test day with it, and it was something I had never thought of. I never thought of it being a high-speed dolly or being around, you know, actors and actresses at that capacity.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be for the Bournes and the fasts and the, you know, high-speed action and stuff. And that movie really taught me so much because I was forced to be on a football movie. It was slower paced. It was all about really hitting your marks, having the camera in the right spot. I had a great camera operator, and I really started learning about camera, being behind the lens and what the numbers meant on the lens, and, watching playback and understanding how I could move camera to, help action and help tell the story, not just capture it.
Right.
And it was like 6 weeks of me being on my camera bike shooting a football movie. So like from that moment on, I fell in love with being behind the camera on the camera bike. And I also learned who to talk to and how to get it in the right people's wheelhouse and understand what we have. So we went from that movie to Chris O'Hara. Then now, fast forward, we're after Bourne, and now he's stunt coordinating Jurassic World in Louisiana. And I called him and told him about the bike, and he was instrumental in helping me get that in front of the DP and the key grip, and they're on a scout, and I just showed up out of the blue with my bike. I did a little presentation, and then the next thing I know, I'm chasing Chris Pratt around all the running scenes as him, either chasing or following me around.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that was the start of Covert Camera Vehicles. Well, at the time, it was Covert Camera Bikes.
Covert Camera Bikes.
Yep.
Wow.
And I was only going to have bikes, and then that's where that whole world took me into.
That's amazing.
Camera movement.
Yeah, what a great story. But that's cool because you saw like something that was a need that nobody else had quite figured out or seen, and you just like jumped on it. You didn't wait around. You didn't like scratch your head. Should I do it? Should I not do it? You just boom, did it.
I was literally all in.
Yeah.
As soon as I got back, before I even left the Philippines, I had already talked to, the crazy thing was I bought a Zero motorcycle, and the general manager of sales and marketing was a guy that was at a high position of KTM when I rode for KTM. His name was Scott Harden.
Small world.
So, so I saw his email address, so I emailed Scott, told him what I was doing and everything, so he helped facilitate me get a bike. At a good price and stuff. And so by the time I got back, I'd already had the bike picked out and knew what I was going to do. And I just but at the time it was just, like I said, it was just a tool in my tool, I just like my stunt bag.
Then once you started down that road, were you like more like that's what it is that I want to do? That's my passion. That's my calling. And he kind of stopped pursuing the performing stunts so much more than to the camera stuff.
It honestly kind of happened organically.
Just happened organically.
Yeah. I mean, when I moved to Louisiana, I was so, and this is a good lesson I learned that any new stunt person needs to learn about, but I was so basically hell-bent on proving to everybody that I could do more than just motorcycles. I was so fixated on going to the gym and trying to be a fighter and work on falls and do all that. I believed that I was doing the right thing and stuff, but I was getting away from my specialty and trying to downplay it. And then there became a time in my career where I'm like, dude, I'm just like, why am I not embracing that?
Yes.
Why am I trying to, I'm being so,
because I'll be honest with you, like, because I'm the guy that kind of does that, like try to get all these different things going. But usually that's because we don't have the specialty. Like, you know what I mean? The guys that have the specialty, those are the guys that everybody wants to be because they know he's
I just learned so many lessons on how to present that, though. You know what I mean? Like I was young and I was so inspired to be a good stuntman, and I was going to the local gyms in Louisiana, and I was, and then when I went on Bourne, I had a great stunt team, and Renee Moneymaker was actually like the passenger on the bike with me, and we became really good friends. And her relationships when she left, she had not ridden on the back. I don't think it ever. She had never ridden on the back of a motorcycle or trusted someone like that. And then she's in the fight world doing phenomenal. So now she's introducing me to fight people, and I end up on a show up here as a regional. I got hired to come up to Hunger Games. And Chad Stahowski, I think Renee and really put a good word in with me.
Which Hunger Games was it?
I don't remember which one.
Okay.
I honestly don't. But Chad
that was my first movie in Atlanta, was Mockingjay.
Okay, I think it was the one before that.
Yeah.
Okay. But I know Renee went straight from like Born to that. And then being in Louisiana, I know she put a good word in for me. So when I came up here to do that, I learned my biggest lesson. And I still laugh about it to this day. And thankfully I've been hired by this gentleman again. But I was on set, and I was like Bob Euchre, ND 45, way in the back. And I remember I was at Crafty, and I was getting my food, and Chad, the second director, had known me because Heidi had told him about me and on Born, and she had told Sam Hargrave about me, who was coordinating on Born, and he'd heard my name probably from Darren and other people about he'd heard whispers of my name. So it was so funny because at that time I was really training to do everything, and I was trying to prove to everybody I could be, I can do it. I'm a well-rounded stuntman. Yeah. And I had the camera bike built, and I was getting my footing and trying to do everything. And Chad came up to me at the table, at the Crafty table, and he was like, "Hey, Regis, nice to meet you," and shook my hand. And so I know you can ride motorcycles, and that's all great. And he's like, "But what else can you do?" And I was, like, "Well, I'm trying to be a well-rounded stuntman." He's like, "Well, can you fight?" And I did the ultimate wrong answer. I told Chad Stahelski I could fight, and it was a humbling experience because he's like, "Oh, really? Well, you got to remember, this is Chad, the founder of 8711. He's got all these guys that just put their heart into fighting."
Yeah.
And I was literally like, and there's zero disrespect to him or anybody. If anything, I have more for it because he called me out on it. And I was like, well, in movies, they're not really. He's like, well, as a coordinator, if I ask someone if they can fight, you got to understand who you're talking to. And it was a belittling, humbling moment for me. And I was like, man, at the time, I was actually really angry with him. Like, why are you calling me out like this? Like, he knows what I'm talking about. Like, if you throw a punch, I could take a punch,
Right,
So
right.
I was trying to scrape and claw my way out of this conversation by coming, like, kind of desperately trying to prove myself right. And it just dug me in a further hole. Sorry. And so I remember from that conversation that when I drove all the way back as the regional, to Atlanta, a light bulb went on, and I was like, he's right. Like, the guys at that level, they've done this since they were 5. So it almost,
Well, that'd be like somebody, like if you went up to somebody and said,
I was just
going to
say this right now. I was just going to use that as an example because as a dirt bike guy, I've had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, you ride? Yeah, so do I." And in my brain, I'm always like, okay.
You ride.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, no disrespect at all, but do you? Like, So, like, the light bulb went on that, like, how come it's fair I have that feeling when people tell me about they can ride on a movie? What's the difference in me telling people that I can fight in a movie? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong. There's nothing wrong, point blank, to learning how to fight and to move and to all that. But I just remember, like, I learned a valuable lesson in that day on knowing your audience and knowing when to say stuff and when to not say stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because I could have presented my answer in a different way. It would have been no. I literally would have told Chad, no, not to the level that you're expecting.
That's what I was just going to ask you, looking back on it. What would the correct answer be? The correct
answer would have been no, not to the level that you think, sir. But I'm
working on it.
I'm working on everything I can to be more valuable to anybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
However, the right answer was what I did because it changed my life. You know what I mean? So there's no wrong answer in that situation. Yeah. Because on the way home right then, I literally was like, I'm going to embrace what I can do on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to embrace what I can do on that camera bike because the camera bike is a tool, but whoever's on it has to be really good at what they do. Yeah. And it's not just riding. You have to be so good on the motorcycle that the riding is second nature because you're now looking at lenses, you're listening to the director, you're creating the movement, you're helping tell the story, you're working with the stunt coordinator, you're working with the focus puller. Yeah. I mean, you have to be so good at what you do on a motorcycle that it's just muscle memory at that point, So that conversation brought me into like, I'm going to focus on the camera bike and the motorcycle stuff because I think that there's, that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm going to support my other stunt brothers and sisters of when there's a job that comes up and if they need a fight guy, I'm like, man, that guy is the guy. or that, and not be like, well, I can do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, cause I just think that you get more in the long run of being true to who you are and performing really well. And even sometimes you get more out of putting someone in a spot that's better than you.
Yeah.
You know, that coordinator will remember what you did and bring you along later and stuff like that.
Wow,
So
yeah, that's great advice.
yeah. So that's
it's a hard lesson to learn though.
it was, but it, you know, for a long time I was like salty about that conversation.
Yeah.
And then I realized one day that was the greatest conversation that I could ever had, and I'm thankful that it was presented to me, and I'm thankful for that moment that I had with Chad. You know, because fast forward years later, I actually wrote Chad a letter that he never responded to, but I know he got, because I wrote him a letter and told him about that moment and just said, hey, I'm not hustling you or anything, but this was our interaction and this is where I'm at. Well, 6 months later, I'm sitting at home, or I don't know where I was, but I get a phone call and I end up going. I'm invited by Chad and Scott Rogers to come to New York to go on the scout for John Wick 3, because they want to know about the camera bike and what it can do and how it can do things, you know, with the camera bike. So it was just, you know, and I even was at dinner and I was like, Chad, did you ever get that letter? And he's like, I don't know. No. And then I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you mean the letter you said that you suck at your job and that you're not a fight guy? And he's like, no, I never got it. And I'm like, okay, he got it. He definitely got it. But he was so cool to me in the fact that now I got his respect on the motorcycle and he was leaning towards me.
Right.
Now, obviously, I said a lot of dumb answers that he's like, no, we're not doing that. But there was a lot of information that I gave to him. And then, you know, now I'm performing again. Camera bikes, my own camera bike was filming me with Dustin on it. I'm performing with Joe Dryden. We're doing laydowns and you know, 3 a.m. on John Wick. I got Scott Rogers coordinating. Chad's doing first unit. Darren's on second unit. It's like the dream job of ever, and it just all came full circle to me right there. It's like, just so glad that I, you know, realized my spot and embraced it.
Yeah, that's awesome story, man.
Yeah,
that's cool. So now, you had the one bike, and you're in Louisiana, and you're getting more work. At what point did you decide to grow that company and invest in it more? And then second part of that is, when did you decide to make the move to come out to Atlanta?
Yeah, so it just happened organically. Literally, like one bike just became two. Like as the word whisper, as the whispers went through the industry, not just from the stunt side of things, but from camera and DPs and directors. And as it started happening, then I would get calls, and then all of a sudden my one bike wasn't enough. So I had two bikes and then three bikes. And then I was lucky enough to like convince Joe Dryden and even back in the day, Dave Castillo and Alice. Like I was going to these guys that I knew that could ride, Alistair Whitten, and then I would send a bike to Boston, and then they would go and ride it. And then so I literally like bought these crates from Uline that were motorcycle crates, and I had 3 bikes going at one time.
Wow. So
I had a truck and trailer, and I was doing that regionally, and then, you know, we were getting bikes shipped to Morocco and Malta and the Philippines, or not the Philippines. Man, when did Fast 7 in Cuba, and like it's such a good tool that you can literally box it up and they can ship it, you know. So then I would fly there, unbox it, and be ready to go.
Wow.
So
awesome.
it just kept growing on its own, like it just word of mouth and you know, back then I used to hustle the equipment just like you would hustle a stunt guy. Like I would literally go to production offices and ask for a meeting with the key grip and the DP. And I don't think many people do that because of the looks I got when I'm like, "Does your DP got a minute? I just need a minute." And then they would come outside.
That's cool, because you took something that's
from
a stunt
our world
thing,
yep.
and then moved it into the camera.
And then you have like the George Cottles and the Chris O'Haras and all the guys that are stunt coordinators that I'm asking them now, like, hey, if you have like a scout or anything, can you go to your first AD and see if they got 10 minutes for me? Because I would get there with my truck and trailer and I'd unload, you know, whether it was the bike or my BMW i3 or anything, and then I'd have it sitting there for when they got off the scout, and then I'd literally hustle the equipment. And I had my own speech, and I'd get on the e-bike and I'd ride it around. And then at the very end, I'd take off and it would do 70 miles an hour. I had a helmet on, but I'm talking to them. And I'm telling them, look, you can do walk and talks. I can chase an actor. I can go 2 miles an hour. I can go 5. And everybody just sit there and watch me, you know. And then it was just the hustle. And it was all from my stunt guys that, you know, that would, you know, again, those guys would be
Brilliant.
on scouts, or they'd be
brilliant.
from the planning, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, and then yep, let me help you out. Let me get you on set. Let me get you a day pass on, a Trilith or
Yeah.
anywhere, and I'd show up with the bike and just do it that way,
Wow.
I mean,
That's
Hank was a big
brilliant.
part of that, and I mean, just so many people were. Just so many people were like, hey, that's a great tool, and then I would tell them like, hey, barter it for second unit days, like whatever you got to do, like let's go,
Yeah.
So.
So
But yeah,
now,
so it turned into 3 bikes, and then in Louisiana there wasn't a lot of action vehicles at the time. There was none. There was no cars or anything. So I bought a BMW i3, the little electric car, and because the bike was electric, I bought the BMW, and then I outfitted it with some camera stuff.
in so doing that, the motivation a lot was because of the sound and also the fumes that the actors
Exactly.
wouldn't
So the
like.
i3 was more in line with like, I thought it was a step above the bike. Like you could do little stuff with it and everything. Come to find out it was the wrong vehicle. I bought the first ever i3 that came out. It got like 40 miles to a charge. So you're not doing highway stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're not doing that kind of stuff. So I had the i3 for a while, and then that turned into a camera car. And then, we just had we didn't have the arm cars or anything yet. It wasn't my world or nothing like that. So I was trying to be like the anti-arm car company. And then, the business slowly kind of moved from Louisiana, and the bigger budget stuff started coming up to Atlanta. So to answer your question, how I got up here was then when Marvel and all the bigger budget stuff came up here, there wasn't a lot of work in Louisiana that wanted to pay for the vehicles that I had, the toys, you know what I mean? So then
Right.
I started running that corridor from Louisiana to Atlanta all the time. And then just growing the company and having the resources up here and just a lot of different things. And then the guy that originally built my camera bike, he's a Yamaha engineer. He moved his company and his family from California to Atlanta because Yamaha kind of needed him up here. So I was still in Louisiana, and then when he was moving, I thought, man, we could get together and really build a lot of vehicles. And so there was a lot of different reasons why we moved to Atlanta, mainly because it kind of dried up in Louisiana, but a lot of the bigger budgets and the tent pole productions that were able to hire our stuff, and I was working
They all
up here a
moved
lot.
to Atlanta. Yeah.
Yep. So we
Yeah, I
pulled the
remember
plug
that,
out
I
of
remember that
Louisiana,
time.
but
It was probably around 2016-ish, kind of, where I remember a lot of guys that were in Louisiana came up to Atlanta because everything had been kind of drying up at that
yeah,
point.
and I was real lucky though because I was still the end of the Louisiana thing. With the bike, I was working worldwide all the time. I mean, that bike, I mean, like I said, we went to
You
Spain.
got such a specialty.
Yeah,
and
we had
such
such a
niche.
specialty that I didn't feel the slowdown as much as everybody in Louisiana just because I was working so much abroad.
Right.
And I mean, even nationwide, the bike was such a good tool, and it still is such a good tool that we would just be being brought to different cities and different places and stuff, But then once Atlanta got really busy, then that was just far enough away to where you weren't going to ship the bike and fly it. It was more like driving and a grind, And then when Jeff moved up here and I knew I had the resources to build more equipment, we could get a shop together. And then like my head tech that was really been instrumental in helping me, his name's Duncan Moore. If you've ever seen us on set, he's usually there with me all the time. He lived in Atlanta, and so there was just a lot of reasons pointing me to make, the business side of it a lot easier and to be here to get more opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems to have really worked out well for you. You got
Yeah,
that
it's been
beautiful
a-
shop over there with some great equipment in it. And yeah.
It's like I said, it's just been as needed basis, and just anything Covert's made, we've put back into Covert, and we've just really, it's crazy though, the amount of work that actually goes into it, I mean, because I tell all the stunt people and anybody that'll listen that like when I'm on set, that's literally a vacation. That's like literally my weekends. Like I know we're there for long hours and we're filming action, but I'm in charge of getting the trucks and trailers home, unloading them, washing them, fixing any damage, doing the maintenance on them. Trailer tires blow, we got to fix them. Truck tires blow, we got to fix them. There's just so much the bookkeeping side of it, the estimating, the invoicing, the just like the whole everything that is around being on set is so much work than being on set.
Yeah.
So it's like
Being on set's the fun part.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
You know, it's really on. I mean, that's where I get on the bike and I have my helmet on, or I get in the car and I'm listening to the creative part. That's just like, oh, it's all worth it.
That's the payoff.
It's all worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to go back because when we started and you talked about, it was cool to hear all the names of these movies that you worked on and how it brought back memories and stuff. So I was just curious. I just want to know, like, some of those shows, because you've worked on some major movies, man. Do you have any special memories that stand out to you? Certain gags or certain gigs that you had to do that really cool?
Yeah, I mean, as far as performing, man, I've been a part of so many like cool motorcycle like sequences,
right.
But the crazy thing is motorcycle stuff comes so second nature to me that like the craziest gags that I've ever been a part of, or the skill that it takes. Some people are like, oh my gosh, like to me, I'm like, that's, you know what I mean? It gets the butterflies going. I mean, I was really proud of John Wick 3 when Joe was doubling Keanu and I was doubling I had a full face helmet on and stuff, but we were really banging and had to come off the sidewalk and do a low side, and it was like a dance with him because I had to be so close that it had to look like it hit him, but it didn't hit him. And then he had the high side, and he did a huge like frappe up onto the the hotel, the Intercontinental or Continental Hotel. Sorry, John Wick fans, but you know, and it was such a tense moment because I was working with someone that like what I did directly affected what he did, you know, and
that's a cool scene.
Yeah, so we did that, you know, and that moment was surreal to me because Dustin was there and he was on the sidewalk on my camera bike filming us do the stunt. And so I'm looking up and I'm seeing Chad and I'm seeing Darren and Scott, and we're on this iconic movie in New York. It's 3 a.m.
It's like where it all just comes together.
Yeah, and it was just like literally like, how did this happen? You know, so
seems surreal. Almost.
That's one that really stands out to me. The fondest memories I have are the ones that are the hardest. Like at the time, you almost feel like you want to go home and you're not getting anything out of it. I mean, Dan Bradley brought us over to Morocco for like Indiana Jones, the latest one, and we were there with the e-bike, and then we had a crane on a car over there, and it was long hours, and it was, you know, it just seemed so good. But I look back there and I was just so lucky to be there. Like just just to know that we did an Indiana Jones movie in Morocco, like, and to watch the locals and to watch like, you know, on the camera bike, a lot of times we're on the sidewalk. So we're literally doing 40, 45 miles an hour on a sidewalk, doing a profile shot of a car chase. So those are the most scared moments I have, is like when we're on a location like that and you have local PAs and you have hundreds of people just trying to get a look at what you're doing.
Right.
I'm looking up a long corridor of just people poking their head out with, you know,
that's scary. 300
pounds worth of camera equipment. And I'm like, you know, I usually ride once or twice up and just push people back myself. And, you know, but those days are so rewarding because it's just packing up everything, getting over there, doing it, you know, seeing the local people. Fast 7 or Fast 8. Fast 8 was another one. Like, you know, we were one of the first, or Fast 8 was one of the first productions, or the only production that was allowed to go to Cuba. So like we were over there for like 6 weeks, 5 weeks doing that car chase in Cuba, and like my camera bike was in Cuba. Like, you know, it's surreal to me that I get to do that kind of stuff. You know,
what I think is kind of cool is like, even if you're just the stunt driver, performer, like, you know, you're not going to work on everything, you know, because there's other drivers out there. There's, you know, you might not be the right double or fit or something, whatever. But now with your opportunity, you can like work on everything.
It's
and
crazy.
Be right in the center of the action, you know.
That's as long as you can convince people you got that tool and you keep it top of mind, it is nuts. I mean, because you can literally be on a sitcom one day. if they have someone driving down the road,
Right.
or a roller skater, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or then you can end up on Fast 7.
Very versatile.
Exactly what you're saying is it opened up so many different doors.
Yeah.
And it opened up a whole new world of being behind the camera, not in front of it. That like you're learning how to shoot. You're learning where to be. You're learning if going slow here helps or hurts, or when to go. You know, I mean, it's so crazy now that I see a movie be made or a shot on my monitor and be like, we didn't get it. Or I know we got it. Like watching 2 frames of it, because timing's everything. And I know that I got to go a split second before the car, or a split second after. Because if I go before, then that car's not going to look like it's going as fast. Like,
right.
Or like just all that stuff you just learn from experience. And it's the coolest thing in the world, because you go from not like, obviously we all listen to our coordinator and stuff, and that's our boss and that's who we report to. But now on the camera vehicles, I go to the coordinator and help make sure that like what they're telling me in the camera department goes along with what they're saying. And then we can maybe change the action a little bit to tell what he's trying to get done. Yeah. And it's crazy. And then a lot of times in the arm car, I have the director right next to me, and some of them are just, they know what they want. They get it done. And some of them I'm sitting next to, and because I've been in the arm car for 10 years or however many years now, I'm not a light a few years there. But anyways, but now, you know, you can get in with them and you can understand what they want, but they're explaining it different. Or, you know, a lot of times in the arm car is funny because you'll be told, go, 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 go. And they'll be looking at a monitor and I'm like, hey, look up real quick. And they look up and there's like cars following. I can't go, 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 go.
Yeah.
You know, so you're doing so much in the arm car. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy because you're listening to the first AD, you're listening to the director, you're looking at the monitor, you're driving. So it's like literally the driving and the riding and the movement all has to become second nature. It's all what you're scanning. You're looking. If you're doing a high speed car chase, you know, you could be with the best guys in the world and they could be 6 inches off. Well, 6 inches off to camera at a different focal, different lenses, make or break in the shot, you know? And so it's like, it's a dance. It's a really cool dance that I've kind of implemented myself in with the creatives to understand and to know what's going on. And it really fast tracked me to understanding this business. And that's one thing that I still tell all the new people and the stunt people and stuff is camera people are usually cool. You know what I mean? If you're doing a shot and everything, ask the camera guy what lens they're on. I mean, don't go around your stunt coordinator and don't make a scene of it, but understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
And try to understand what's going on around you, not just what you're doing or not what you're told, but why you need to do that so that that domino can fall, that story that's being told in that lens is going to work. You know? And it's such a huge part of our business that that even I was remiss of it. I didn't understand it until I got behind the camera. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like this whole world exists, you know? So...
And you think, I mean, when you think about it, you know, the camera, at least in my opinion, I mean, the camera is the most important thing.
It's the most important thing. And when you're a stuntman and you just nail the biggest gag in the world, your first hug should be the camera operator.
Exactly.
Your second hug should be the guy that's pulling focus. Because if he doesn't get it right, then your camera's soft and the shot's soft and you don't look, I mean, again, like I'm being a little silly with that and stuff, but those guys... A lot of times, even if your performance is subpar, your camera operator, when he's good, can save it.
Can save it.
You know, and all those things are such elements
of... the opposite. You can do an amazing job.
Exactly. And it has happened.
The camera doesn't catch it right. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So
the amount of camaraderie and the amount of teamwork that I've gotten to experience being in the camera car or the camera bike, sometimes on the bike, you're even in your own world. It's your operator that's doing the operating and you, and you're on a, you know, we don't wear comms in the helmet because it's not safe and it's not useful to, for a camera operator to tell you what to do when you're in the meat of it. But coming back to one and having a one-on-one conversation with him being like, man, he's getting away from you. Was, okay, I know where to fix that. I'll go a little faster right there and stuff, you know.
That's cool.
It's so rewarding. And to see our shots, like, again, I'm so proud of the shots that I'm in on the movies, but sometimes I watch a movie and I'm like, wow, that shot was amazing. How did they do that? How did they get to that moment? How did they get around that car?
To be able to appreciate that, that's the next level.
Yeah.
Just be able to see things from that perspective. You know?
Yeah, or even I'll see a shot that I remember being on the camera bike, just like, you have no idea how hairy that is, or like how fast we were going in between pillars and through parking.
Because the audience, they're so into it. You
Yeah.
know, they're not thinking about all that.
No,
Yeah, but that's what you want. That's what you want. You want them to be so into it that they're not.
they're
thinking
oblivious
about
to it.
They're
Yeah,
oblivious to it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's
I remember I went back to film school. It was probably like 2006 or 7, because I wanted to kind of branch into another direction, and I remember like just how fun it was to be the guy that's setting up the shot. That's figuring it out and putting the pieces together. It's kind of like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It really is, to try to put all these pieces together and see that vision in your head ahead of time before other people see it, and then you get to see it play out. Yeah, it's very rewarding. Yeah.
It's, to me, at the level of where I'm at now, I don't know how quite I'm going to make it happen, but one of my goals is to second unit direct a car chase. Like, I just want to check that box.
Yeah.
I know I can do it. I've been behind camera long enough that I just really want to do it, just to see if I can, we shot a short over at Covert a couple years ago, and we did a couple pipe ramps and stuff. And
what was the name of that?
It's called Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Yep. And it's
That's
on the YouTube, the Covert World YouTube channel.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is we did that, and we had so many, and again, thank you to the local stunt community of Atlanta. We had so many good people, and Guru did a pipe ramp, and
who did it?
Guru.
Okay, Guru.
Yep, and then Eric Salas did a pipe ramp.
Yeah.
And it all came from those guys coming to me and asking me to use my arm car, or me to film their pipe ramps in my arm car. And
Cool.
I told them they were crazy. I wasn't ever going to do that. And then I did this whole short.
Write a whole script around it.
The fight guys, the whole crew, everybody was so great. But it's so crazy, though, because when you get put in that spot and you think you got everything, and then you get into editing and stuff, I learned so much from that 7-minute short, because I held on to it for a year and a half because I watched it so many times and nitpicked it so many times that I was like, man, it's just not.
It's not.
I know I can do better, and I would do this different, and I'd do that different. And but what I realized is, like, no one sees what I see. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I still to this day know that it could be better. I know that I could edit it better, and I know that, or I could have the editors, and we could do it better. But I know that I could help those edits with my shots a little different. But we did it in a couple days, and I held on to it for so long because I'm like, I just don't know if it's right and everything. And then people saw it, we put it out, and and then I put it on a bunch of film festivals and stuff, and it cleaned house. I mean, we won so many different film festivals and action fests, and it did good. It gave me confidence to, like, okay, well, maybe everybody doesn't see exactly all the nitpicking. And then I put it on YouTube.
You're always your worst critic.
Yeah. And then I put it on YouTube, and like it had 400 views for a couple days, and I'm like, well, it's doing good.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went viral, and it has like 150 something thousand views now. And
wow.
Yeah, and
awesome.
It's really, but I bring all that back around. It's not to talk about what I've done or anything, but as a stunt person, I think you should shoot everything. I think that that's a huge part of our industry now, and all your training and stuff, and all the guys that go out to Watermans or slide their cars and stuff, like, just film it, but do camera movements. Don't just film it. Just like practice with different shots.
I think Kevin Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he brings his car out there.
Yep.
That he's built his own rig on and on camera and stuff, because he's trying to kind of find his little niche too, especially if there's low budgets or something like that. But I've been driving for him out there, and it's as fun or funner than just the stunt driving.
To me, it's funner. Like, I mean, look, to be the guy that's going to crash or be the driver, those spots are so hard to get, and there's so many talented people that deserve them. So, I mean, if you look at it from the outside, like, we might not be sliding the car and everything, but it's pretty cool to know that you're filming all, like, you're doing all that. You know what I mean? Like, you got a car full of 5 people and 1,400 pounds on the roof, so you got to be mindful of a lot of different things, but you got to work with your crane operator to make sure the crane's in the right spot, and then this cross happens, and you got that gap, and
the timing,
it's its own stunt in itself. And I don't think a lot of people understand just how much goes into it, but how rewarding it is at the end of the day too. Like I truly do love it, and I'm very thankful that I get to do it. And you know, it's been a lot of hard work and just a shit ton of good people that, you know, I'm a firm believer in being a I don't know, a smile to people's face on set, having a good attitude, making people laugh, be respectful, but never forgetting those who have helped you, you know.
You're one of those guys I always like seeing on set when I'm working. I always enjoy it.
Well, I thank you for that.
Seeing you, man.
I try to make that a point.
Got a great attitude and
yeah,
fun to work with, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people want to dunk my head underwater after a few days on set together. I'm a little too much sometimes, but to me, it's those days are so precious, and they're so cool to be around and to get to do what we get to do and stuff. So I try to make every moment just an uplifting experience to everybody, and you know, to remind everybody that we're lucky to be there, but not doing not doing it in a way that you have to say you're lucky to be there, but just you know, bringing smiles to everybody for sure.
The attitude. The says attitude. It all,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking back to even when you were doing that short for Heidi, and everybody was out there, you know, just basically as a favor, kind of, you know, because she's helped so many people, you know, with their careers and stuff. But that was a lot of work. Those are long days. There's a lot going out there, and then you have your equipment on top of that.
Yeah.
You know, that you're bringing out there, you know. But you, never complain and always having fun.
No, and I'm stoked for Heidi like that. I saw a cut of it in the past, like she did a phenomenal job on that, and I think that it's a great story. And I was just stoked to help someone. I mean, Heidi's helped us in Covert in the past so much, and when she didn't have to, like, you know what I mean? She saw me around and put good words in forever, you know. So I'm you know, forever grateful just to be able to have that opportunity to go out and help on something like that. And then also, like, I was passionate about helping her get something that was good. You know what I mean? Like, so when she was over doing the acting stuff, and me, Noon went over and did the writing stuff, it was really exciting to get something that we could show her that, like, hey, look what we got. You know, like, this is cool. Like, through the trees and the foreground's going, and she's like, oh, that's great. Like, there's just that camaraderie and that ability to watch her to have this vision and to write the script and to put it together. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that were doing favors and stuff, but that's even hard to do, to ask for those favors. But we all want to do it for someone that's been so great. You know what I mean? So I know what she went through. I mean, she went through it on a little bit bigger scale than we did over here at the shop, but I was stoked to watch her go through it. And then Renee and Cade, I mean, like, we even after that went and shot like a super funny little coffee commercial thing. And so we're like,
that's cool.
I love being a part of those moments. I wish that I had the mental capacity and the bandwidth to help people more when they call or do need those. But that type of process, like I keep saying though, is like, I'm sure Heidi learned so much in just shooting that and being just knees deep in it for however many weeks. I mean, you know, I know she worked really hard on that, and I can't wait till everybody gets to see it, because I got to see like a rough cut it and stuff, and I thought it was phenomenal. And
cool.
And
I'm looking forward to seeing it too.
Yeah.
What's the name of that? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, Heidi, I'm so sorry, I don't remember. Oh my gosh,
it was right on the tip of my tongue too.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
Coming soon, Heidi Short.
Google it. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, I signed an NDA. I can't talk about it much more than that. I can't sign it. I don't know the name. Well, I do know the name, but I can't. I could tell you, Duke, but I'd have to kill you.
Oh, well.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want that. I kind of wanted to just touch a little bit now on the philosophical side of things. It's about that time too. So a lot of times I usually ask, like, you know, how do you keep calm when you know,
Duke, have you seen
the crap hits the fan, which it, you know, does. If it's okay, I'd kind of like to talk about, you know, how you dealt with and made it through when you're having your anxiety attacks, how are you able to overcome that too? So
The keeping calm thing, I think honestly has something to do with that. For some reason, I can be a joking person, the life of the party on the set, but for whatever reason, whether when I raced or anything, when the chaos ensued, for some reason, I have the ability to treat that moment just like I did 10 minutes before. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, and it even goes back to my racing days, when you go out to the line and you're in front of 60,000 people and the lights are on and all of a sudden you get this like, oh my gosh, it's time. Like for whatever reason, I've been able to go through and be like, this is cool. Okay. Like it's time. Here we go. Like not like hunky dory, like blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But even in stunts, like we always hear about stunts going 20% harder on action, or, you know what I mean? Or everybody's just getting, you know, like, oh, like
adrenaline
here it
rush.
goes. And
Yeah.
for me, I've always like, it's almost like Days of Thunder. Remember where they're like, hey, Cole, you need to go slower. You're going to burn your tires up. And he goes, I'm not going slower. I'm going the same speed. They're just, you know what I mean? Or I'm not going faster. I'm going the same speed. They're just going slower. You know what I mean? It's almost like I can just maintain this level of like, of what's going on. And that comes from my racing days and the chaotic moments of going, you know, with 40 or 22 people into the first turn. You know what I mean? And having this ability to see everything that's happening around me, or almost feel it happening, and distances closing and speed coming in. I mean, that's not like something you're born with. It was learned over going into a turn and being on a motocross track with, you know, 22 other people in the main event, or 40 people in an outdoor. And, you know, you're in a pack of 5 guys, just seeing this guy get squirrely and you know that's going to shoot him this way, you know, and then making a quick adjustment to not hit that. You know, and that's helped me with the camera card thing immensely, or the camera bike, because I have an ability to be like seeing the monitor, feeling where that car is, knowing where my mark is with the camera, but also being able to look ahead to make sure no one's ducking out. You know, so it's like this.
That's a lot of awareness.
Yeah, it's an awareness thing, and I think that awareness makes me comfortable to know that, like, even when I would perform a motorcycle laydown or any of this stuff, I've never gotten to the point where I get overamped or nervous about it. It's always just been like, okay, well, you know, we talked about it. We're going to do it this way, and here's my out if it doesn't happen, and you know, we're going to go. I mean, I only get nervous if I ever actually do get put in a fight scene or something. Now I'm like, oh gosh, sorry everybody, watch out. You know, so, well, I mean, when I'm in my element and everything, I try to stay in that element, and I just really try to, I don't know, for some reason in chaos, like, even though a lot of people look at me and they laugh and, oh, Regis, you're a little crazy and you're silly, and I don't know, when it's time to get serious and the chaos ensues, I'm able to just like take a breath and be like, okay,
focus.
Here's what we talked about. Here's what's going to happen. If that doesn't go right, where am I going? You know, and I could be mid conversation and talking to someone and still be thinking about what I need to do. I mean, the older I get, the more aware people are. I mean, they'll be snapping at me and I'm like, no, I was thinking about the shot, you know, but and I just think that's repetition and being behind camera, and you know,
comes with confidence of experience. To you know,
and then you know, to go back on the whole anxiety stuff and that, I mean, it was a long process. I mean, I really felt, you know, like you said before, like it was really wearing on my family and myself. And I think for the longest time, I was so afraid of it happening that I put so much pressure on it not happening that it made it worse. It literally made it worse, because I would, you know, I mean, it would happen at the movies, and it would happen after I went, man, I really hope it doesn't happen here. And then that would start the negativity, and that would start that. So it all goes back into, I still believe the brain, and just like everybody else says, you can train your brain to think differently. You can train your brain to embrace it. I mean, I still have them every once in a while when, you know, now it's more like, I mean, it's probably the same back then too, but now it's working long hours, not getting enough sleep, stressing about the company, stressing about equipment. And then I'm in bed and I'm like, oh, I feel weird. And then I start having it. And then I'm like, you didn't have any water today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I go take a drink of water. I'll lay in bed. I'll take some good breaths through my belly. And then usually it's like, now it's almost like if I embrace it, it goes away. If I fight it, it comes on harder. Right. So I'm not going to say it never happens anymore, but I'm very aware of it happening, and even in my worst moments, though, it's never affected me. Work, never had one, never been in that moment, never had that, because my mind is so busy and it's so focused.
I was going to say, that's in that environment, you're at your, like you said, you're in your element.
Exactly.
It's when you have too much time to think about things.
Yeah, I struggled.
That's when it's a problem.
Just recently, I struggled really hard with the strike. When we had, there was 7 months where Covert didn't get one job. You know what I mean? And we were all in the same boat together, but that was idle days. I got back into riding, and, me and my buddy Timmy in town, we were riding dirt bikes, and I ended up going to England and doing a race. And then I went to Massachusetts and did a race. And it was like, I have to keep myself busy, because like you said, those idle times and those worry moments, like, if I focus on that, then that could put me down a path mentally of not, of not even meaning to, but being like, just getting that anxiety brain going, and you just got to change the channel. It's so hard to do when you're in it. But, I used to get yelled at all the time. Like, in a panic moment, someone would be like, hey, change the channel. Because if you can have the ability to change the channel, that just like goes away. You know what I mean? And then you used to almost get comical, because I could get it to go away, and then I'm like, oh, it's away. I hope it doesn't happen again. Oh, it's happening again. And then I would put myself into it. So now I'm just being older, having experience with it, and, laughing about the fact that I manifested heart surgery into having to get rid of my panic attacks,
amazing.
And then it come back a week later.
That's pretty talented right there.
That's a story I don't really want people to know, but everybody's going to know it now. But that's what happened. But then you look back and it's like, I wouldn't trade any of it. I have my wife because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Everything that's happened to me, somewhere along the line, there's been a lesson learned or a positivity out of it. So I just try to take those moments as much as possible still. Even in the eye of any storm, like, you don't work for months. And you're down and you're out, and you just don't want to, you don't, but then you get that phone call. And how quickly does it change when you go back on set and you're just like, I'm here. Well, there's just a way to understand that, like, you're one phone call away from that. So why should it take a phone call? You know what I mean? Like, just
right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't let yourself get down in those dumps. Like, the brain's a muscle, right? Or maybe it's not, but it's trainable. Yes. You can just train your brain,
Well, I was just going to kind of, say something to that fact is, first of all, like, stunt guys that I've had on here, myself included too, I think, like, one of my in my motto is says, like, what do they ponder about in those moments of silence amidst the chaos? And for a lot of stunt guys, I think they're very comfortable in the chaos. Yes. The chaos isn't the problem, because something inside of them quiets down. When it's all out here, that's when they come alive. That's when the senses are, everything's something to solve, to fix, to figure out. But then when everything out here quiets down, right, then the inside is where things start to get chaotic, And I think, that's, like you said, that's something that we all kind of have to learn to deal with in our own ways. For me, I started doing meditation, and the meditation works, but I found that if I go back to sketching, because I used to sketch all the time when I was a kid. Yeah. And I stopped. Yep. So I found out that that's my meditation. Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Find a different way to deal with
Sometimes it. Sometimes it's not just sitting in silence in the corner. Yeah. And the other thing was, there's one guy in particular that's kind of influenced me in the past few years, and his name is Joe Dispenza, and but he talks a lot about what you're talking about, and that is that, for most of us, we have to get our good emotions and our good feelings. They're like a payoff, like a result. It's usually dopamine or whatever of something that we've done, or as some outside circumstance that is affecting our emotions. And instead, what if we can take control of that, and it doesn't have to be dependent on the outside circumstances so much, and we're able to actually, like you said, able to, what's the word I want to say, manufacture, I guess.
Yeah, I think it goes back into
emotions.
Controlling what you can control, and letting the outside world not dictate everything.
Instead of that controlling in here,
Yep.
we control in here. And then he even takes it a step further. I don't know how you feel about all this, but as in, you said the word manifesting, but he kind of takes it from like this quantum physics kind of thing, but basically that then even reality can actually be affected by us when we're in that state. We actually are able to affect reality to, kind of not bend to our will, but it kind of,
I think
it
that's,
plays with us,
But I think that's wholeheartedly true, because you could change someone else's perception, and then by how you're being and your mood and your thought process, you could change someone, and then that someone could change someone, and then that combination, or if you're around a group of people, then the reality around everybody else changes because of, you know what I mean? Kind of falls in line with what you're saying. Is I truly think that, like, if you come to set and you can be the positive person, not the pom-pom, but I think that if you could improve someone's day and they get a laugh out of it, and then it improves yours, and it's this domino effect, and you could change the whole reality of that scenario, that set, that scenario, that situation. Or you could get there and you could be MRF and stuff and grumpy, and then someone could be glad you are, and then you could bring down the whole reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So I think on a bigger spectrum is what he's talking about, but I certainly agree that you could certainly look at it that way, and then you could start perceiving things that way, and then that would change how you feel about a bunch of stuff. And total philosophical here and total craziness, but that's why I truly believe in being a positive person. It helps me more than anybody else. It truly does. You know what I mean? And that's me manifesting the dopamine and the stuff in my brain, so that I don't have that sense of failure or that worry or that guilt, and then that would put me down to something else. You know what I mean? Because I go to work just like everybody else, worried about getting the shot or worried about performing and stuff. But if I can be the best version of myself as I try to do that, I know that I'm talented enough to do it. And I know that if someone were to mess up or anything were to happen, that I'm a team player enough to try to, so I know that if I could be the best version of myself and the positive person that's looking for the best outcome, that helps me more than anybody. So when I'm out there on set and everybody, oh, you're so funny, you're doing all that, I love having that energy and doing that. But I mean, selfishly, it's for my own better good.
I love that, because, whether we would admit it or not, everything we do really is to make us feel good.
Right.
So if we're already making ourselves feel good by just being this positive type of person, we're already getting the rewards of it in the moment. Like, we don't even have to, it's not so dependent on what even happens, because we're already getting the benefit of being positive. Like,
correct.
People are like, oh, the power of positive thinking. Well, the power of positive thinking is you're positive.
Yeah.
What else do you need, right?
Right.
You want to feel and be positive, you're already doing it, Yeah.
Yeah, and finding that balance, I'm not going to be Mr. Positive when things shouldn't be, or
Right.
sure. But still, like,
So there's nothing worse than that.
Yeah, exactly. And like I find moments where I'm like, even like, I better step back a little bit here and Mr. Positive, relax, and I'm not tooting my own horn that I'm always positive. I mean, I have my moments too and everything, but again, it all goes back into what we're talking about with, getting your mind to a spot that you're comfortable in. And I'm just comfortable making people laugh. I mean, obviously doing my job to a high level really makes me happy, but more importantly, at the end of the day, I love being a people person. And no matter how good I do driving the car, riding the bike, it makes me feel better to go high five my camera operator, the stunt court, or anybody else that's done a good job, in a stressful situation, to let them know that they just crushed it because they really did. And I think not a lot of people get credit for what they do, especially crew-wise with what we do.
Yeah.
So we really got to just make sure that, if you watch me walk around set, for whatever reason, I high-five everybody or I knuckle bump. I'll be walking by and, if I'm on a set for 3 or 4 days and the transport guy walks by me, he's already got his hand up. It's just who I am.
Awesome.
I'm a low five, high five, knuckle bump guy, or, hey, how's it going, bud? Or how's it go? And to me, it's just about, but that's who I am. It makes me feel good like that, and then when I feel better, I feel like I can bring everybody else around me up a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So start wrapping this up a little bit. So I just wanted to ask you if you have any upcoming projects, anything in the works that you're getting ready to head towards?
I mean, just kind of like everybody else, I just very lucky to have just gotten off a good run with the crew and at Covert. We were in Boston and we did Super Troopers 3. We did a car chase with Rob Alonso and the boys up there, which was really amazing. And then just got back from New Jersey working with Jeremy Fry and with Jay Fry and Darren and Igor, the DP. And so I'm riding that high right now of having a good month behind me. But, unfortunately, we're in this weird cycle of movie making and work right now that we just got to hold on to the highs because, as of right now, I got a couple days here and there, but nothing, now we're getting into November and December where it's usually predominantly slow anyways.
Kind of a slow time anyways.
Yeah. So you just, we're really focused on the business. We got a couple really big announcements coming up as far as gear and some, as the industry changes, we're trying to roll with it and get gear in different places and stuff like that. Okay. So, like I said earlier, it's my on-set work is the most rewarding and obviously pays the bills, but there's never a day that we're not at Covert trying to better our craft and improve the business. So we have a lot of that right in front of us right now with a lot of exciting things about to happen. So soon we'll be able to talk about those, but, we're just rolling with it right now. Yeah. We're trying to be the best version of it that we can with the crew and the gear and just, just right now it's one day at a time, what's going to happen.
Right.
That's another thing. I can't control the next 2 months, but I can control tomorrow and tomorrow's going to be great.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing that's on my mind a lot, and I've asked some of the guys on the show, and I don't ask it as to be like a, negative or doomsday or, anything like that. But I think it's more of a reality that we all have to kind of come to grasp, and that is AI.
Yep.
I see it affecting everything, and not just the film business and stunt guys, everything.
Yep.
And we've all got to make that transition, But what do you think 5 years is going to look like? I mean, it's hard for anybody to predict at that moment, but do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, with what I do, I have major concerns. You know what I mean? The reality is it's going to get better. It's going to get faster. It's going to get easier, and we're going to have to compete with it. I'm hoping that we and our generation will have enough people that want to see real stuff that we kind of get through it. What I'm really worried about is the next generation that grows up with it, that it's normal.
It's just, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
So
expected.
it's for me at this moment in my life and where I'm at my career and my age. I think I'm going to skate by with my tail tucked between my legs, so to speak. But I'm concerned with, like the next generation. Like, my youngest is now a sophomore in high school, and I think he's a little bit older to fall into that category. But I think kids being born now, they're going to start watching movies when they're 5 and stuff. I mean, their heroes might be an AI character, and they may just know that from the beginning. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be a very slippery slope when we have, at some point there's going to be an AI star, and it's not going to be a human. And I think that might become normal to the immediate generation that's being born right now that's going to watch that. So am I worried about it? Yeah. But again, I can only worry about what I can control, right? So I can just control what I'm doing right now and in the moment and try to plan the best I can for in the future. But long term, I would be, I'm sweating, I would be as a filmmaker, as someone new in the business and someone that's just trying to get, I don't quite know where it's going to go.
Starting out.
What's that?
I feel for the people starting out.
Yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. And, like I see the tweets, like Elon, not long ago just tweeted that Grok will be able to do a full feature film in a year and a half.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. You were talking about, we're going to have an AI star. Well, what stops it from being an AI producer, director, writer, star from the beginning to the end,
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be getting so good that, you're going to have a team of 3 maybe, or it could be even 1 in the future that really, but again, I'm trying to hold on to maybe the creativity and your thinking, like, the creative people that can think about how to stay ahead of it or stay with it can figure it out, like, maybe, and I'm a little bit too old to learn this and understand that, but maybe there's the younger generation right now that can start grabbing that tool to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish. You know what I mean? So their reality is going to be a little bit different than ours because we didn't have that tool.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can grab a hold of that now and start understanding it and be at the forefront of it, then maybe you have something creative inside of you that you can utilize that to put yourself in a position to where you want to be.
Yeah.
As for stunts specifically, I think I hate to, be the bearer of bad news, but I think it's going to be tough. If you're going to be able to show a realistic stunt where you're not going to put a human in danger and you're going to be able to save money, there's not a production out there that's going to not take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So that's just the reality of it. Yeah. And so but I don't think that it's there quite yet. And I'm hoping that it takes a little bit longer than what maybe I'm thinking or a lot of people are thinking. But and I still think that there's going to be a lot of people that want to hold on to the realisticness of real stunts.
I think there'll always be that niche,
Yeah, I mean, but
plus I'm thinking that maybe live productions or live theater, live productions, maybe they'll get a bump, because there'll be a certain type of people that just, they're tired of not knowing if it's real and, if it's all AI or whatever, and they get a thrill out of the live
maybe AI will make live shows crazy popular. I don't know. Right. I mean, maybe there'll be those live shows that people think are death-defying now because it's so normal on your TV and with these people that, maybe if they see real people do it. I don't know. There's just such a great unknown with it to me personally. I've messed around with it, and wanting to be a second unit director, or wanting to be a storyteller. I signed up for the VO3 and Flow and started with prompts and stuff, and it's scary. It's scary what you can do, but it's got its limitations right now. But how long is it going to have those limitations? I don't know. And that's, they might come out with a new version in 3 months. Like now, I can make amazing 8-second clips.
Well,
and we're seeing like some commercials come out and stuff like that, and those are small clips put together. But I don't think it's going to take very much longer before they figure out that.
No, I don't think so either. I
that
heard
Rubik's
something
Cube.
just a couple of days ago on some YouTube thing I was listening to, and they were, or she was talking about how, you know, the quantum computers now, and in fact, this is just a couple of days ago, I think, that it solved some equation that a classical computer, even a supercomputer, she said, would have taken nearly as long as the age of our present universe. And the quantum computers solved this in minutes or hours or something. I mean, that right there is like, so now, and then she's like, and then the quantum computer will help enhance the AI, and the AI gets ideas about how to enhance the quantum computer.
Well, I think James Cameron had it right in the beginning. I hope it doesn't happen in our lifetime, but what was that called? What was that company called in Terminator? Skynet.
Skynet, yes.
Between
Skynet.
Elon Musk, robots coming out, AI, I mean, he was before his time, but
yeah,
maybe we're all just living in a Terminator movie. I don't know. It's crazy, but you talk about a quantum computer teaching AI. That thing gets a gun in its hand, and we're all doomed.
I know.
Don't show it the military. Don't show it the arsenal.
I don't know, man. It's crazy times.
It is. It's real crazy.
Times,
but keep your head up. We're still out here grinding.
Right. I still believe in God, that there's a controller out there that keeps things from getting too crazy. You know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of helps me sleep at night. But
yeah, I just I don't think there's any right answer to it. I think we're all living it together, and we're just gonna have to ride that wave as it comes.
We just gotta ride it where it goes.
Yeah, the worst thing is to worry about it and to stress about it, because you're not gonna stop it.
Because you can't.
You ain't controlling it.
No. And we just got back from Italy, and it was so refreshing, man. Because like when I was over there, like first of all, just being in a new environment just wakes you up, and you feel so energized. And I was so motivated to start drawing again, because you see all these amazing things that men have done, that they've created, and we have that within us. It's not going to go away. We're always going to want to push, create, make, do something. So I think no matter what happens, we'll always be doing that.
Yeah. I think, I just hope that the realism of these movies and stuff, I'm cautiously optimistic that it'll keep going in some fashion, some way or form. Like I said, my true worry is about the ones that are born into not knowing the difference, and like I said, that's those being born now and a couple years from now, when they start watching, anything that's fed to them, AI, and they just don't know they don't remember what real filmmaking was. So that's my only concern. And I think it's a big one, but, like I said, we just gotta bob and weave and roll with it, because we're not changing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure having you here, man. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And we'll have to maybe try to do it again.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing this platform. And I've watched the ones before me. Wanted to be on here with you when you mentioned coming over. It was exciting. And thanks to everybody for listening to my long story. And there's a million stories intertwined in there that are comical. But thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Of course, it does help to subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. So if you want this to keep going, please support us that way, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See you guys.